Okay, we're live. AK, is your thing working?
Yep.
Just doing last second checks here. There we go, now I'm getting stream feedback. Here we go. XRS prepares for their longest night of the season. That's right, the XRS 600. Well, provided by Strange Engineering. The Strange 600 tonight at Homestead Miami Speedway. It's the longest night. I'm Fan2403. Welcome along. AK DJ 2006 joined with me in the booth. AK, welcome back for another week. And tonight, yes, it's the longest night. And are you prepared for it and what we're going to see tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it should be a very interesting, very fun race. A lot of new guys here tonight. A lot of new rookies that have come for this race tonight. So we should be having a very action-packed race. A few already. I can't think of a few surprises already tonight with LCQ and all that. Obviously, the most cars XRS has had here tonight being 27 with 5 go-homes tonight.
Yep, and as we see Panda giving a little shout out already in the stream. Wishing both me and you luck, AK, tonight for our voices. Hopefully our voices will last to the end of tonight.
Well, that's why I got a ton of water next to me. I've already gone through the bottle and this one hasn't even started yet. Well.
Oh no, maybe you should slow down a little bit.
Nah,
You're not racing, you don't need that much.
Yeah, but I am commentating, so I need a crap ton.
Yeah. Well, tonight, Homestead Miami Speedway, we are running on the championship tune that we ran last season. It's kind of a 2014 style tune, high horsepower. The rear ends of these cars very, very loose. So, AK, a little insight on what could we see tonight? Could we see multi-line racing, close racing, or just cars going all over the place?
Yeah, I mean, last year we seen this for the championship race, which Smokey obviously won. He's not here tonight, unfortunately. But Hawk is who won the championship for that race. So, in that race, we did see some close racing, some tight racing. And with a max field of 22 cars, it definitely will be some pack racing here tonight, especially off these restarts. These restarts will be not sort of chaotic, but it'll be very hard to maneuver through the field because of how many cars we have. There are multiple racing lines here. Obviously, you have your high side, your low side, and then you have sort of a middle ground of those two, where you start on the low side, but you gradually race to the higher side.
Cars are loading up there. There is the order of the grid for you tonight. Obviously, we will go over the grid once we load in first. Kart Racer on the pole, based off of the 2 lobbies of qualifying. Since we did have more of the maximum of 22 drivers, we do need to then have 2 separate qualifying lobbies. And then that makes it to where only top 18 make it into qualifying. Only top 18 in 19th through 22nd needed to get their way in through a last chance qualifier, which fortunately was not able to be up during the stream. But as AK stated, the drivers all the way at the back, 19th to 22nd, are the ones who made it in. 5 drivers went home. Let's take a look at the starting grid now. We have, like we said, Kart Racer on the pole for tonight. And joining alongside him in row 1, Jankum with his teammate. Row 2, we have Off-Road Hype and MVP, who's been a multi-time winner this season. Row 4, we had D-Dog and JDMX Hawk, the 2 people who were fighting for the title last season this race. Should be interesting to see. 7th, we have Panda and Clicks, Clicks being a rookie in the field tonight. Next row, we have AUG Edwards and JDMX Culture. Next row, we have Vettel Fan, another rookie, and FM Esports. Then we have Dawson making a return tonight, along with Sleepy. Then we have Oracle back at 15th, Slayer's Death in 16th. Then we have Reno and CLR in 17th and 18th, Midnight Club in 19th, Girl Next Door 20th, SSR in 21st, and Goosey in 22nd, rounding out the whole field. It should be noted that tonight's race is sponsored by Strange Engineering. Strange Engineering has been providing manufacturing parts for the USA for over 60 years in the drag racing and oval track racing markets. They design and manufacture the industry gold standard products from anything to street cars, NASCAR, to professional top stool dragsters. You want good quality parts made in the USA? Strange Engineering. Don't just race, race strange. 400 laps, 600 miles for tonight. And as the cars make their way off of turn 4, AK, let's get this show on the road. What do you think?
I think it's good.
Green flag is out. The Strange 600 is underway.
Cars heading down turn 1, so far, like we said, pack racing for the most part, fairly clean, but we do see 3 wide for third right now between 3 cars.
Let's view all the way back between that 3 wide. Hawk getting a car squirrely down there on the bottom.
They were 4 wide down the backstretch for a split second there, but they quickly decided against it. Wreck in turns number 3 and 4, 2 cars.
Wreck right away, turn 1, 2, 3 cars involved. Looks like SSR, Mayhem, trying to get away from it.
Cars and
Girl Next Door also involved.
Yeah, we got Sleepy, we got Slayer, and Girl Next Door. Are the 3 that
Sleepy, Slayer. Reno, he looks slow as well. Trying to get caught back up with the field. So already caution on lap 1.
Yeah, this is sort of what we predicted.
At the tail end of lap 1.
Very hard to make it through the field, especially off these restarts, just simply because there's so many cars here tonight. I mean, you've seen them off the restart. There were cars pretty much everywhere all over the track.
Yep, with a field this condensely packed and this wide variety that we have in the field tonight, a good mixture of rookies, the most cars that we've ever had attempt to make an XRS race, obviously is going to provide for mayhem and pandemonium off the start. But tonight we do have the caution intervals with the rules. 4 laps between every caution. And I believe I'm hearing an echo actually on AK's side.
I believe 5 cars came into pit road, so we got 5 takers on the first caution.
And those could have just been people trying to make their way around and avoid any sort of damage that they could have gotten towards the rear of the pack, just trying to avoid it. And also, you never know, this could actually be part of strategy pit stops. And speaking of, nearly a dozen pit stops is expected to be made in tonight's race. And that's just so then you make it to the end on fuel and tires. So I'm sure we will have plentiful more drivers stopping more times than that for any incident that can happen on track.
Oh yeah, we're going to see a ton of different strategies, and we're going to see a ton of different strategies actually go out the door due to damage from cautions, damage from wrecks, or even just hitting the wall or losing some grip, right? Your tires will wear much faster, you'll lose fuel much faster. So that's when drafting starts to come in. There may not be a very long straight line here, but that drafting will help you save just 0.0%, 0.1%, and all that will eventually add up.
It will for sure add up indeed. Looks like we will not go since another car dipped to pit road. So since that car dipped their way to pit road, we will go another time around. Now the front row being Cart and MVP. MVP being a multi-time winner, but we didn't see him do that superb in his first oval showing, that being the XRS 500. So, and the second oval race of the season being the second Crown Jewel event this season, that can be a lot of pressure to try and put on a show.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the pressure that these kind of drivers, some of these drivers will thrive off of. Pressure to actually be successful, the pressure to actually be consistent is what some of these drivers will look for and what they thrive for.
Yeah, and as I stated, second Crown Jewel race tonight, and there is a prize for this race. 600 miles won't come without anything fall short of a victory. $50 is the prize pool, and that's $50 value to anything. So whoever the winner is, they can decide whether they want it in the form of cash, gift card of anything, or there's maybe a game on sale on the Xbox store. However you might decide you want it, you can use it. Green flag. We're back going.
4 wide back in the pack off that restart. And coming into this corner. Bunch of contact from the back. Car sliding up. Does catch it. That was in turns 1 and 2.
Going all the way, we're riding with Midnight in the 33 all the way at the back of the pack. All the way in 15th right now, battling side by side with FM.
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be some pack racing for the most part throughout this race. We won't really see these long strings of cars like we did at the road courses this year. This race will be a very, very, very packed base.
Very packed and orientated, and even with the cars semi-spread out right now, with how big of a field it is, we have cars that take up a full straightaway. So, right now, a lot of cars on track.
I mean, this is what you see when you set a new record for car count in a race. So, a lot of cars, which means a lot of positions to be gained, but also a lot of positions to be lost tonight.
Yep, and a lot of points on the line with everything going on. Riding along further up, we have Clicks and his number 4 Kevin Harvick's team. I believe that's the Millennial car is running, or a replica of it. Running up with Clicks, just behind him is Panda, and just ahead of him is D-Dog. For sure one of the faster rookies in the field tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a ton of rookies, and I'm sure we'll see some surprises from these rookies. Some guys that we wouldn't think would be fast here might be fast and will be fast. So we'll have to see which of these rookies tonight will be the surprising one.
And there you see Clicks. He just made his move on D-Dog, getting around him. Now he's up to 3rd. Kart Racer obviously pulling ahead with his lead. Kart Racer, Homestead is known to be his track. Whenever we talk about Homestead and kart racers there, he's always a top contender.
Yeah, we got a lot of guys who we know are fast, not only on overs but at Homestead as well here tonight. So I mean, this one really is almost anyone's race.
It can be anyone's race, like we said before, with the variety of different drivers in the field. You just never quite know who can become an underdog all the way at the end.
One hits the wall.
Plenty of time tonight.
One hits the wall, turns 1 and 2, does go down the track. That was Oracle. He'll lose a spot, goes from 9th to 10th. He may have damage, we will have to see though.
We will see indeed. Let's go back here to a cluster of cars that we have. We have Reno in the mix. I believe he's battling side by side with SSR and Goosey.
Yeah, right here there's a pack that I've been watching, and these guys, everyone behind Reno was involved in the we're all together on the second restart, and these guys all got jumbled up right off the start, but they've made very fine work making it up to the field. Now 4 wide.
Very tight off of 4 right there. SSR got very loose on the outside. One car goes all the way down 4 wide to the bottom, but they back out of it, and they're actually spinning. Oh! Hard hit right there. Oracle. Other cars involved as well.
Another car piles in. Caution at the line.
That's SSR who also gets tangled up.
Cars involved: CLR, SSR, Slayer, Oracle, and Vettel.
Those are all the drivers involved, and then we have other drivers in pit road, whether they're in pit road for damage or if they're in pit road because they just need to head down pit road. But I believe, no, it's for damage.
Yeah.
With the procedures, pit road is closed once a caution is called. Caution is not out yet when it's called. That is something that we have been experiencing, that some people are getting confused, getting a little bit confused with how those work. The way it works is that when the caution is called, when the race director, being Cart or Culture, the owners, when they then make the call that caution has come out, it's just called. Caution actually hasn't come out yet. Leader needs to make their way all the way to the start line in order for the caution to come out. When the caution is called, though, pit road is closed. Pit road is automatically closed for drivers who are on the lead lap and obviously who have no damage, and they don't need to head down pit road.
So 8 cars.
That's the way the order works.
8 cars involved in that last caution. 2 takers for this time by pit road, that being Hawk and MVP. So, seems to be a theme with this cars coming in for the pit roads after this caution. It seems to be a green and red pattern from what I'm seeing. Luckily for that caution and for those 8 cars involved in that caution, it's very early on in this race. Only 15 laps in. It was 14 when the caution did come out, but not many laps done in this race. Still over 300 to go.
Keynote for our viewers and anybody else tuning in for the race is that we do have other point of views. We have 2 other point of views, one from Cam, and we do have another point of view from Grimmer. Obviously, we're not displaying them on our stream, but if you go over to their Twitch pages, they are streaming their POVs, so you can get more of an on-track feel for the race tonight.
Yeah, and those point of views always help with seeing what's going on in a wreck, and even just seeing what the driver's seeing throughout the race. So those guys will, if you're obviously wanting to see what they're seeing, then go over to their channels, or just stay here and watch the entire race.
No matter what, even if you miss any of the action that's going on tonight, that obviously all of our race replays are uploaded to our YouTube channel. That will be uploaded for sure by roughly Monday, Tuesday, because it takes obviously quite a bit of time for the video to process. This will be a very long stream. But all of our race replays are uploaded. Full highlights are posted and made on Twitch, and then some highlights with up-to-date news is posted to our Instagram page. Well, see, Quick and Kart Racer still maintain the lead. Off the start, he gets going. Green flag back out. There you see the first 3 cars automatically going single file, spanning out on the backstretch. It's not all the way until the back of the pack where you see more of that 3 wide action off of the start.
3 wide right now in the middle of the pack for 10th place. A lot of cars here from about 8th all the way to about 15th. A lot of bunched up cars.
Yep, starts with a car leading the line being Edwards. And there, some driver tried to go in under him. That was Culture. Culture, we saw the back of his car. See also Goosey involved, Culture, Slayers, Vettel, and Dawson.
4 or 5 cars involved in that one.
4 or 5 cars involved. No caution will be called for that due to the caution interval.
Those cars will come down pit road. Car into the wall, turns 3 and 4. Car around, front stretch, turns 3 and 4, number 43, Midnight. Car is weaving and dodging to get by him.
And he is able to make it away unscathed. He now gets back going on the front stretch.
With those two incidences, the field is relatively spread out for being Homestead in this car count. Obviously, that caution interval basically means no cautions can come out. I believe cautions are now enabled, though. So we should be...
Yep, now that the leader crossed the line that time, now cautions can be called again. And if we do see a pattern that cautions are coming out very frequently, race control can make the call to then extend the interval. This can apply to any race if we see cautions happening too much on a string in a row, and they can extend it to whatever they want. They can extend it to 8 laps, or they can extend it to even a full 10 laps, to where we can go 10 laps without a yellow.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I think this will be one of our longer green flag runs. The field's relatively spread out right now, so I don't think we should be seeing a caution for at least a little bit here, with the field being this spread out.
Yeah, now with those two incidents happening within an interval, we're going to not even have 2 distinct packs. Now we're not going to have any pack. We're going to have the field all the way spread out. And we're only going to see those few 2-3 car packs form up. In reality, it's not even a pack, because you're not drafting too hard. You're not trying to beat, bang, bump draft, go side by side. So there's not much really to contest with there.
Yeah, oh, we have a car around midnight, turns 3 and 4. Hard into the wall. See if he can get it off track before he can. Car collected.
Oh! MVP. MVP got into him. Trying to get back to view one of those cars. There we go. We're viewing with Midnight now. Yeah, but we saw that Interstate Batteries Toyota. That's what MVP is running tonight.
No words from race control yet, so it sounds like we'll stay green, at least for the time being.
Both cars were able to duck their way into pit road quite immediately. Because, also key noting, it is under the driver's discrepancy who got involved, whether if they're even going to call it or not.
Clicks has not moved too much since that last restart. Still in 4th, but he's battling for 3rd. MVP
riding along with Clicks.
MVP back into pit road for the 2nd time. I don't think he got pit the first time he went in when he got that damage originally.
And there we actually
SSR
see ahead of
backwards
Clicks.
in the backstretch. Goosey is collected.
Trying to get back there for Forza whenever a car wrecks. Whenever a car wrecks, unless we're viewing that car, we're unable to see that car nicely.
I believe only 2.
Yep, Goosey and SSR. Just those 2.
Yeah, I believe it's only 2 cars this time.
SSR already getting caught up in certain instances tonight.
Yeah, SSR, just like last time he came, he did not have the start he wanted to the race, but he did finish really well. So maybe that's things to come, is that he may finish well with all these accidents he's been in, and all the bad luck out at the beginning of the race rather than the later part.
And maybe this could be a result of drivers. SSR, he did say in the check-in, every week we have a system in place to where in our Discord we have check-ins as we see all the cars spaz on pit road. That's just Forza though. We do have a system to where everybody who's in our Discord page, everybody who's a part of our Discord community, they're allowed to race. They're allowed to race with us as long as, of course, they have Forza 7 and all these things to where they have the requirements, we tag everyone. We tag everyone and we say, okay, this is the check-in, just so then the owners, admins, race control, they all get a sense and an idea of who's going to be at the race. SSR, he did not check that he would be at this race. He actually checked that he would decline, that he would not be at this race tonight. So maybe that could be a factor in that he didn't get much practice time. With him being a rookie for XRS, this is a tune that he hasn't really ran in at all. And a lot of the veterans, they've already had at least one race under their belt with this tune.
Yeah, and it also could be just wrong place, wrong time. We know we've seen SSR. He's fairly fast on those road courses, but we haven't seen him on an oval yet. And like you said, he hasn't raced this tune yet. So by him checking that he's not going to be here, usually means that he hasn't practiced. So two things that could come into major factors for this race for him.
Yes, indeed. And talking about veterans, Off-Road Hype, JDMX Hawk, two of some of the faster guys who were out in front at the championship race. They're on the front row for this restart. Obviously not going. They're deciding to delay. Race control delaying the start. One more lap.
Just seems to be we're going another lap just because there's some position errors. So we're just getting those figured out before we go green, just to make sure everyone has their spots.
Yep, there is a lot of assortment, and especially with a grid this big, we need to make sure everybody's in the right positions. We're not like NASCAR. We don't have a automatic big red button that the race control can press and that freezes the field. We don't have that. All we have is the drivers. Drivers keeping track of their positions, where they are on track at all times.
The button would be very nice.
That would be awesome. But we don't have that.
We don't. We don't have.
Yeah. Fortunately, Forza 7, as we see in the chat here, RZI, RZO. I can't tell if that's an IRL. 401 laps. 401 laps, yes, but this is an outlier race. All of our events are, of course, smaller than this. Green flag back out. All of our events are ZL. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. All of our events are smaller than this race. This is quite literally the longest event that XRS has ever done. And it's because it's for a sponsored event. Strange Engineering. Off-road gets turned!
Leaders involved.
Off-Road Hype and another with him. JDMX Hawk. Both leaders spin.
The panic get very loose, and then the leaders just went 3 wide for third place right now. 4 wide, potentially off turns number 1 and 2, not quite. More cars spinning.
Both leaders able to get going. Yep, spinning.
Doesn't appear much damage now into turns 3 and 4.
Nope, now turn 3.
5, 6,
Mayhem. Reno, Girl
7.
Next Door involved.
Both stars
Sleepy.
involved.
What started as a scramble 1 lap prior on the backstretch off of 2 continued all the way into the following corners and the following sets. Multiple cars involved. I would say that's a big one.
Yeah, that's the big one at Homestead, lap number 33.
There, you just saw one, or at least from the stream point of view, you just saw one car spin, and that clogged the entire track. Because all it takes, it can take one little tap, it can take one little bump. That's all it takes to set off these chain reaction wrecks. And obviously, if 1 or 2 cars spin on a track like Homestead, this isn't Talladega. This isn't Talladega to where we have the widest straightaway to work with here.
Yeah, just from what I saw in that wreck is that 2 cars got collected. They spun. 1 car spun high, 1 car slid down low, and the entire track was blocked, and cars just piled in with nowhere else to go.
Oh, and a keynote from the chat here. I actually, for I actually didn't catch that. Thank you for the follow, Demon. Thank you for following, XRS.
Sounds like
Let's ride along on a game cam with Clicks. Ride along with him as he's trying to catch down Oracle.
sounds just from hearing all the drivers on the radio that some drivers aren't the most pleased with each other currently. Which is, I mean, to be expected. Homestead is our shortest racetrack that we run on. Besides for one, I believe. So it's our second shortest. So it's technically a short track for XRS. And some cars are going to get beaten up pretty badly tonight.
Well, of course, out of the three ovals, as Oracle gets into the wall slightly, Clicks is going to take advantage, carry his momentum into turn 3. We only have 3 ovals to work with on Forza.
Wreck turns
car
3 and
spinning
4.
ahead.
Ooh, very close to some cars there.
That only looks like a 1-car spin. No, it was 2. But now they're both on pit road. Let's go a little further. Let's go with CLR.
I do believe there was a secondary wreck just ahead of those 2 cars being next door.
I appreciate that comment, Rocket. Looking back and forth at the chat.
Right now the field is very, very spread out for it being Homestead with this many cars. So I said this last time, but I think we should get a longer green flag run.
Well, that last time that happened, commentators curse.
Yeah.
So let's see if this continues or not. Riding along, A.G. Edwards just outside the top 5. He's in 6th, but quite a big gap between him and Jankum. He's actually side by side with a lap car being SSR.
Yeah, and so far, I mean, it's a common occurrence to be a lap car here. Just pitting, you can become a lap car. Just because of how fast and how short this track is, just pitting makes you automatically a lap down. So if you have to hit for damage early on, you're going to go a lap down immediately.
Mm-hmm. And we say short track only because we only have 3 ovals to work with on Forza, and the other 2 are the same length, Daytona and Indianapolis, each being at 2.5 miles each. So with this track being a whole mile less than those 2 tracks, car spun. I believe that was Slayer Death on the front stretch. Now he's able to get going off the apron. But yeah, this is only a mile and a half, and even compared to the road courses that we run, Top Gear, that is our smallest track by far. I believe that's just over a mile or just under a mile in length.
Yeah.
So very, very small track. Homestead, it's only relatively small compared to just all the other tracks on our schedule.
Yeah. And that's sort of where that term for us comes in. Obviously, in real life, Homestead is nowhere near a short track.
Oh yeah,
places like Martinsville, Bristol. But the Forza Motorsport 7, it's a short track.
It's a shorter track for sure. Riding along with D-Dog here, running a bit of a slightly patriotic paint scheme for a salute to service, as this past Friday in the United States, we just had Veterans Day. So make sure, if you haven't already, obviously thank a veteran for their service, because of course we greatly appreciate everybody doing the ultimate sacrifice and the ultimate service for their country.
Or for the Canadians out there, it would be Remembrance Day. So
yes.
You are.
Yes, fellow Canadian in the booth.
Yeah.
Not fellow Canadian, but he's our local Canadian here at XRS.
One of only 3 in the server.
But that does not mean, though, that we don't allow, we are not obviously only United States. We can have other drivers come in. If you're into NASCAR, you have Forza, you have Xbox, well, you met our requirements.
Yeah.
Met our requirements.
As long as you can...
A link to our Discord server is available on our Instagram page.
Another requirement is actually being able to drive, obviously, but...
Well,
think
yes,
that
we
goes
don't
without
want
saying.
we don't want a toddler racing in XRS, obviously. Um,
And caution has come out.
I got
SSR
into the
turns
wall
1
a
and 2
little bit.
into the wall. Goosey gets collected.
Yep, 2 cars slow all the way back there. SSR and oh, it looks like one car trying to scoot on by actually got into the wall. Yep, SSR, he spins out trying to get back going. He's going too rough on the tires. That's just from what I can see. That could have very easily been damage that he has to the rear end. Already the rear end of this car is very loose. Yeah, he has damage to the rear end.
Yeah, and I mean, this like we said, this is going to be a common occurrence with how tight this track is and how many cars we do have on here. It's almost inevitable.
Yep, and oh, spinning again right at the entrance of pit road. Clogged up the track. Cars trying to avoid him. As now we have a loading screen pop up. I believe that means someone left. Someone left or lagged out.
Down to 21 cars now.
21 instead of the 22 that we started with. Yeah, and right there what we saw with SSR, obviously off a spin, if your tires get too hot, get too cooked, as AK likes to use as a term. If you have the tires too hot, too sticky, then they're actually not going to have any grip at all when you get back going when they're too hot because there's no grip. But that was not the case there. We saw SSR, he cooled down the tires after the spin, but right as he got to the turn, the car just spun out and again. So that tells me there was probably some driveline there was probably some driveline damage to the car, because already the rear ends of these cars, they are squirrely, but that's because there have been drivers in the field and drivers of the past who have wanted the cars to be made to be driven harder. And that is for sure what we have tonight in this tune.
Yeah, and that's for the driver that is either lagged out, which is, for this driver, I do believe it is a high possibility, or as parked it for the night. That would be Goosey. So, unfortunately, Goosey's night will be done. His bid for the prize will be also over for the night. Oh, and the car has just been caught going 2 laps, getting 2 laps back instead of 1. He'll be called back and told to go back to the rear.
Yep, and as we see, Sleepy, he stopped in 1.
Vettel was also
Leave another car up there. Vettel, yes, Vettel. So that is the rule, to where if you are laps down, you are allowed to gain laps back under the caution lap, but you're only allowed 1. You're only allowed 1 lap, and obviously, what extends the process is you getting involved, unfortunately, in another yellow.
Yeah, and we have a couple cars that are already multiple laps down. Most of these cars that are multiple laps down have just been caught up in a couple of wrecks, which is just obviously not how they wanted their night to start. But there's obviously over 300 laps left, so they have more than enough time to catch back up. Cars are going this time.
Yep. There they go, back to green. Kart Racer and now Jenkum, the top 2 that we've been talking about all night.
Hawk didn't get that start he wanted. Tire spun as there's car loose, 2 cars loose, car going around, cars pile in, MVP.
Yep, MVP spinning,
CLR.
cars trying to avoid him. He is going to save it. No car touched him, and then you said CLR as well.
Maybe did give MVP a slight bump, but I don't think any of them got damaged from it by the looks of it. Safety seems to be going full steam still.
In either way, off that start, no caution will be called due to the interval.
Yeah.
Riding along with JW Reno. All the way, he's made his way up to 8th place.
And Reno's just silently cutting through this pack, now up to 7th, looking on the inside of FM for 6th. Reno's been fairly fast throughout these weeks when he does show up. Obviously last week he did miss it, but he has been very fast throughout these last couple of races when he is showing up.
Reno for sure is a pressure driver. He does a little better under pressure. Moving ahead a little bit, riding along with Edwards and Panda. Edwards battling side by side with Panda. Now Edwards is going to take the spot into 3.
We are now down to 20 cars, as I do believe SSR has parked it for the night.
And as we wait for the next tick at the top of the screen, it is SSR DNF.
So that's another driver that these guys, that everyone who's left in the race has to not worry about, because SSR has closed his bid for the prize tonight.
Such a shame, because you never want to see a driver quit like that. But of course, many different events.
Yeah, and all these drivers have lives, so just somebody might have come at the last minute that they couldn't have seen, which is unfortunate for some of these guys. Or just like we've said, internet problems. We've seen that before. Even in this season, we've already seen it. Good battle up here for 7th place between Hawk, Oracle, and Jay Reno. Soon to be Culture. He's looking to put his ticket in as well. Oh,
Hawk took a look to the inside. Not able to be there. The 2 Trackhouse cars next to each other, Hawk and Culture. And now needing to deal with a hungry Oracle.
Yeah, Oracle was on the back of Reno's bumper for a couple laps there, but I think he got just a little tight, and that opened up the door for Hawk and Culture. So nice having about Culture and Midnight. Midnight is
right along with Oracle's game camera here. Now with him being on that car spinning into the wall right in front of him.
It was clicked.
Oh, Oracle tag!
3rd car.
Right as he was trying to avoid it. Oracle spins.
Multiple drivers involved.
That's either MVP or Vettel also getting involved.
Slayer involved.
Slayer.
PLR making
Another car trying to avoid it. Yep, he was able to dodge everything. Another car's making their way to pit road. FM, Edwards, Hawk.
Red flag is out.
Red flag. So, you heard the call. AK, he is listening into race control. And you heard it right there. If a red flag is called, that means they need to have a lot to sort out right now. So first he'll go under caution condition. Right now, riding along with Kart Racer. He's most likely going to pull it to a stop on the back stretch over on the apron. That is red flag procedures. There you go. He pulls to the apron now. And now he will park it.
I think this is just to sort out some things, because obviously a lot of cars involved there. I believe 7 or 8 cars again were involved in that wreck.
Yep, and this could be to sort the field. It could be to reality. Could be somebody had a connection issue in the server.
Yeah.
Meaning communication, not actually leaving the race. And right now, only 7 cars on the lead lap. So a lot of cars going a lap down from that one wreck. And it might be to where we might actually do a field reset. Because that is a possibility. It's a possibility to just have all the drivers grouped up
just been called. All cars that are laps down can get all their laps back.
Okay, so we are doing a field reset. Now, you see, the minute that call was made, all cars laps down, they can go around. So a field reset, this has only been done in more severe circumstances, so already a lot going on. We're only on lap 58 of 400 tonight. Looking in on chat, Rocket noticing a lot more aero loose with this package. Seems like the cars don't like being bumper to bumper or touching less grippy surfaces. That is true. We are running Rocket. We are running the 2014 Homestead tune, which makes it to where you have high horsepower, but the rear end is very, very squirrely. Rear end is squirrely. You can't hold the power down off of the corners. That will oftentimes result in you spinning out. So you do need to be more on the gentle side with this car. And it's a driver's tune. It's a tune that makes it to where the drivers who are better with the tune are up at the front. The drivers who are not as good with the tune are in the back.
This will be race control saying this is the only time this will happen during this race. No, this will never happen again during this race. So everyone's been told this is your one opportunity to get all your laps back. Either take it or leave it. Which it appears everyone is taking it.
Yep. I mean, I would too if I were. If I were,
I know.
me and AK both being former drivers. Yes, obviously we would take the opportunity to get all of our laps back. And like I said, this only happens in severe situations. They probably saw that a lot of guys were just getting lap after lap after lap down. A lot of cars that we did see being multiple laps down were actually rookies, so it could be a potential that they quite didn't get the message on what are caution procedures when you actually head back around. Because, like we said, you are allowed to gain one lap back. The only part that is wrong is, well, when you try to get one lap back at least, but then you end up getting into a wreck at the caution interval.
Yellow flag is
It looks like
back up.
all cars have made their way back around. Yellow flag has been called by race control, so very shortly we should have kart moving. There he is.
It does sound like there was also an address to amount of cautions and frequent cautions during this red flag. So it does sound like in the next two cautions, if we get those next one or two cautions very fast, it does sound like the interval will go up to 10 laps.
Okay, there you have it. The call has not been made yet, but right now has been the suggestion to where, okay, if we get another quick yellow in the 4-lap interval, then race control will extend the interval to 10 laps.
And that would shake up a lot of things because part of the reason why we've also seen multiple cars laps down is because they've been caught up in multiple wrecks. That damage just to get back to the pits, if you're all the way in turns 1 and 2, you're going to go multiple laps down because obviously just pitting is 1 lap down. So driving there with half a car is probably going to go another lap or 2 down. It also appears that if you did get laps back, anyone who pitted who did not get laps back will be ahead of you.
Mm-hmm. So already cars who were lead lap cars obviously will retain their positions because the field reset obviously doesn't apply to cars who went laps down.
Yeah, and that's just because obviously just even with that rule, if you did get laps back, usually the rule is if somebody has pitted and you've gotten laps back, you have to go behind those people that have pit. So that's just the rule continuing over to this situation as well. Call's been made, going green next time by.
All right. Reno and Culture making up the front row. These are two guys that haven't been necessarily in the front, but they have subtly made their way to the front half of the pack at least. So we're going to see how they do being at the front of the line.
Yeah, most of these top two rows, besides really Clicks, have been silently moving their way up through the pack, just quietly picking off cars, picking off positions. Clicks obviously started in third place off the start, if I remember correctly. If not, he did start fourth.
Yep. Off of 4.
It's been called that aggressive driving needs to tone down a little bit.
Reno taking advantage of that good benefit that you have being the leader off a restart. You get to decide once you hit the start of pit wall where to go. One of the interstate battery cars was in the wall. And already that just looked like the car got tight. They had no room to go.
Car spinning down the backstretch as well. I do believe that was a secondary that came from that.
FM, Slayer.
Dawson with a move. Reno got up into the wall. That's a move for first place. Dawson took the lead for the first time tonight.
Let's ride on back all the way back at 6 with Clicks. I believe Clicks is actually in 5th now. Yes, he was able to get around.
Yeah, I do believe he hit the wall as well at about the same place Reno did in the same lap. So he did fall back a little bit from that.
Yep, Panda trying to get in under Clicks. He's able to make the pass off of 4. Now, ooh, a little arrow loose. Clicks was just a tad bit too close to Panda, and that's what happens. Panda's able to hang on to it.
Reno hit the wall. He'll lose 2 spots. He'll drop down to 5th and 3rd. Or 4th from 2nd, sorry.
And now, look at that. 2nd and 3rd, the top 2 fastest drivers that we've been talking about at Homestead. Jankum, he did win at Homestead last season, but he won in a very unconventional way. He won at the Miami rain race that we had, where we had a rain race on this circuit configuration, not the road course.
Yeah, and that race actually did prove a big challenge and a big curveball for a lot of drivers. So, I mean, to be able to win that race just shows that you can really handle a car very well, especially at this track. You wouldn't think your car needs to be handled fairly well at this track, but it really does, because your car can get very tight on this track and into the wall, just like Dawson did.
Dawson, yep. And now there they go. Both of them will take advantage, Cart and Jankum.
Just to show you
now front 2 back at front.
Just to show you how much you need to control your car, not only with throttle, but you also need to be very gentle on steering, because the less gentle you are, this is something that controller players have struggled with, is the harder you are on turning is the more tire wear you do get at this track, which can eventually add up and mean shorter amounts of stops.
Yep, I can say for myself, I've had experience recently in this tune, not just for practice before the race. I was out there running laps with these other drivers, but I also ran last season. AK, you ran select races last season.
Yes.
And this package in particular, like I said earlier, you need to be very gentle with that throttle off the corner. You can be very aggressive with this car through the center, and that's where drivers are taking advantage of getting around. If you're aggressive in the center, but easy on the exits, then you're actually able to carry a lot more momentum than you think. And another key thing to note, you don't need to keep the maximum speed through the corner. Some drivers who we've known in the past are able to hold at least mid-170s throughout the corner, but drivers who are going to the low 170s mid-corners actually have faster lap times. That tells you it's not because of you just carrying the most speed around the entire track. It's because you need to be able to have smooth exits, and going down to those slightly lower speeds will help you.
Yeah, and like you said, being very, very aggressive through that middle corner, it's sort of a give and take, because the more aggressive you are, the higher chance you're actually going to go hit the wall coming off the corner, which, as we've seen with Dawson just recently, it can be very costly.
Especially with 2-3 guys right on your bumper. Dawson starting to lose ground again. Clicks, I believe, was able to get around. Now he's dealing with Reno and D-Dog. Behind him, two drivers who are, of course, fast in last year's championship race. But also, those two drivers, Reno and D-Dog, competed for a championship. It was for the mini-season championship that we had in between seasons 19 and 20, I believe, was when we had the mini-season. JW Reno was able to be crowned champion in that one.
Yeah, and like we said, we've seen Jay Reno be very consistent, and he's probably one of the better overall drivers, whether it comes to road courses or ovals. He's sort of a good blend of being fairly fast at both those, and that's sort of what you need, as he does hit the wall a little bit there, coming off turns number 1 and 2.
You're talking too good about him. Stop.
Yeah, that seems to be a common thing. I start talking highly of somebody,
as we call it.
I start talking highly of somebody, and they just wreck, and I do think we just had next door either get loose or wreck off turns number 3 and 4.
Now, after that field reset and the call has been made, obviously, we're seeing a long chain of cars all the way from 3rd going all the way back to 11th. That's the chunk of cars that are kind of together, kind of separated, not by a big gap, but not by a little one either. Clicks making good use, leading that. He's in 3rd. Top two are just pulling away. Now we see that more bigger gap forming when cars going down to pit road.
Well, I just realized my mic was muted, but I don't know if it was caught on stream, but I did say Coulter did spin coming off of turn number 3 and 4, trying to go into pit. He loses a fair bit of time for that, as we have a car into the wall, backstretch. He was running about 6th at the time. Caution is out, it's Dawson.
Yep, Dawson able to get back going on the apron.
Dawson did not have a good stint here. He did start fairly well. He started obviously in 3rd and made his way up to 1st for a little bit there. I don't believe he has damage.
Does not go into pit road. Yeah, it did not go into pit road.
Nope. Well, he does have driveline damage. But
oh, he does have driveline damage, and he
springs, brakes on the left side of his car are completely totaled. But everything else is fully intact. Engine, transmission, and steering are all 100% good for him, but driveline and left side are completely destroyed. That could cause a problem with that, with those springs/suspension being completely destroyed. He will come in this time by the looks of it. I think he has just realized that.
Yep, a lot of times Dawson, he likes to feel the car out first, because you can have cosmetic damage and it doesn't affect your car at all. It doesn't affect the performance of your car. We've seen drivers do that on road courses. We've seen drivers do that on road courses to where they do have some sort of cosmetic damage, but if it's not affecting the pure performance of their car, they can go out there and they can keep racing. But a caution, of course, still being called for the hazard that was on track and cars needing to slow down, get regrouped together.
Yeah, and I mean, with Forza, there's no really aero damage per se. You will lose maybe a tenth or 100th of a second, but in the long run, it's not really worth pitting for that little bit of damage that isn't too bad at all. Everyone's just getting sorted out here before we go back to rolling.
Yep, just trying to sort the field out. We're still single file, so when we pass by here, cars can most likely go into pit road if they do please. After the leader, whoever it may be, whether it be Cart or who decides to go in or out. Once he crosses the line, cars will go double file. They will make their way. There you go. Cart elects to take the outside lane.
From what I'm hearing, the last caution interval was actually 10, so instead of using it as a potential, they actually did implement it. So that last caution was a 10 race interval. And it sounds like Dawson just made that 10 race or 10 lap interval. Sorry, not 10 race.
No cautions for 10 races? Are you kidding me? No. Okay, so that 10 lap interval was implemented and was changed.
Yeah, 10.
To those of you just tuning in, this is the Strange 600 for the XRS Cup Series at Homestead Miami Speedway. We are completed 77 out of the 400 laps tonight. Very much a long race. Our sponsor, Strange Engineering. They've provided multiple years, over 60 years of manufacturing and machining, all made in the USA. Parts for Top Fuel dragsters, NASCAR, all the way down to your local street car. Very well. Go check them out. They are on our Instagram. Speaking of our Instagram, go check out our Instagram, XRS Xbox, and make sure for full highlights, follow our Twitch. Green flag back out. Kart Racer taking a huge jump that time.
Yeah, and it seems like the leader always is getting that massive jump as we hit in turns 1 and 2. Cars will go through a lot calmer through 1 and 2 this time. I think drivers have started to learn their lessons, started to learn this car. Never mind, backstretch 1 into the wall,
yep.
Inside wall. I believe it was D-Dog.
And I believe they actually got into Hawk.
Oh, more cars wrecking front stretch. 2, 3.
Oh,
4.
yeah, big wreck. Off of 4, multiple cars around. Sorry for the loading screen there. A lot of cars avoiding it, but only 2 cars right now trying to get their way around. J.W. Reno with a DNF.
Yeah, he parked it for the night. A guy that we thought was going to be very competitive tonight, and he did seem to be very competitive, has just parked it. So a big driver has just parked it, which gives a lot of these guys a better chance of winning tonight.
There you see 2, 3, 4 cars making their way to pit road. So it looks like a lot of people did get tagged and damaged, but it didn't really hurt their speed too much. But now, of course, no yellow to be called because now the 10-lap intervals are in place.
Yeah, and this was just
a warning was...
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Alright, I'll go. Obviously, that's just to make drivers be less aggressive on these restarts, too, because obviously with that 10-lap interval, that means for 10 laps until caution comes out, no matter how many cars are involved, unless, of course, the entire field is involved.
Hawk into the wall. Turn 1 and 2. He got into the wall hard. It looked like as if he didn't even turn.
He may have been caught up in that last instance and didn't realize any damage until right there. I couldn't tell you on that one.
I don't believe that would be it, because if he did have any prior damage, we couldn't tell. Now that he got into the wall,
could have been some suspension damage that he just took a different line through that corner that time, and the suspension just went on him. I know sometimes with the suspension damage, it doesn't, like, certain lines, certain grooves don't really do much to it with even at 100%, so I couldn't tell you. Maybe the car bottomed out or something. I have no clue.
Have no clue. We will see. If anything else is said and done on that. Between tonight's race, from what we've seen so far in trends, it looks like nobody has anything for Cart and Jinkum. They are insanely fast, and we know they're fast at Homestead all the time. But neither one of these two guys actually ran this tune. This is the first time they're in this tune, and looks like they're conquering it thus far.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, so far, Cart has led the most laps out of anyone. He's been very dominant, at least through this beginning part of the race. I can't foresee, obviously, the later part of this race. But, yeah, so far these two cars have been really your 1-2 for 90% of this race.
Obviously, we're not even 25% of the way through this race with 400 laps. A lot of things can happen. A lot of guys can get out of place. One thing that we will see for sure, though, is driver fatigue. The longest race that we've had at Homestead prior to this race has probably been only 200 to 150 laps, maybe. So, with that being the longest race that we've ran before, this race for sure being a little over 2 times that amount, we're going to see a lot of guys getting that driver fatigue. There's plenty of time for drivers to get into a rhythm, and that's going to create for interesting second half racing if we're going to see drivers close together, if we're going to see drivers far apart. You never know what we're quite going to see.
Yeah, and that's what makes this race so interesting, is that these two may be up here for now, but they could hit a very bad spot or get very fatigued by being this far. We don't know how hard they're pushing right now just to be ahead here. But if they are pushing fairly hard, they might not have a lot for the end of it with that fatigue.
Now, one thing that we can talk about here with what we've seen so far in the race trends is the point standings. Point standings that we came into this race, MVP has the points lead. Barely. Only 3 points over Hawk. And MVP, he's not doing the greatest this race. Hawk, he was back and forth. He was up front, but now he's more in the back after getting caught up in an incident. MVP able to recover in 6th right now. But then 3rd, D-Dog. D-Dog running 15th right now, 1 lap down. Then 4th place in the standings is our leader, Kart Racer. So with him having a dominant performance, if he's able to carry this momentum all the way to the end of the race, big boost in the points for him.
Yeah.
Behind him, Culture, then Off-Road, Oracle, and Panda. Those are the point standings. So obviously those guys looking to have a good run. But Jankum, he's making his first season start tonight. He hadn't been able to start the prior races.
Yeah, and if things were to end right now, Cart would jump up, I believe, only a spot. Sorry, he would jump up about 2 spots. He would jump up about 2nd or 3rd in the standing, but he wouldn't pass MVP. He needs just over. Caution is coming out, by the way. He would need just over about 35 points. He would only get 15 of those points.
And now, yes, caution coming up now.
So it has just been called. There is another boost to for the caution counter and another sort of setting coming out. So the restarts will now be single file, and it is now a 15-lap interval.
Big race, big intervals. Being ran for tonight.
So how you see them right now is how they will restart on the restart.
And this is simply for not enough drivers just knowing how to actually run the tune. We did have, of course, our practice lobby at the beginning of this session. But a lot of guys, they don't have experience in this tune. If you weren't at the championship race last season, or if you weren't even attending or noticing our practice sessions, you have really no practice. A lot of individual practice, of course, that is more encouraged. We do have a few rookies in the field, though, tonight who are making their first start tonight, so they had no prior knowledge to the tune, the length of this race. But now, But to drivers who had prior knowledge of this race and had prior knowledge of this tune, this race has been on the schedule, and it is since the beginning of the season, and has been listed with the tune that we are running. So, a lot of time there to be ran for practice and formally acknowledging.
Yeah, and what we see drivers do often is they'll sort of wait till the beginning of the week to start practicing with said tune. The drivers that do that are usually some of the guys that are in your top 5, top 10 of the race. I know FM has done it. I know Panda did some this earlier today, and I'm assuming he's done some later. I don't think J-Team has, but we've seen most of these guys in this top 10, I would assume, have done practice earlier this week or earlier in the season.
Yeah, Culture obviously has probably gotten the most practice.
Farther back in the pack.
Tempers flaring. Now, Culture probably has the most practice out of this tune because he is the creator of the tune. In the off-season, we always encourage drivers to come to off-season test sessions because that's where these tunes are made. That is where these tunes are made. That is where you, the driver, have your input on how you want the tune to be ran. How do you want the car to feel? And unfortunately, the past few seasons, we haven't had that many drivers approach us and go into our practice sessions, our off-season sessions. While it is the off-season, our test sessions are ran during the regular time that we do for the races. So, once again, we try to have the most availability possible for the test sessions.
Penalty has just been issued.
This is what happens. Penalty on track.
Penalty for clicks. He was turned under caution, did get a 100% damage on everything, but passed the field to go into pit road to fix his damage. A penalty has just been awarded to clicks.
Yeah, you could not speed up ahead. You could not speed to surpass the field in order to go into damage. Even if I'm going to pit road, I'm going to lose everything anyway. That is considered unsafe entry to pit road and on track and really reckless driving.
I don't know what the penalty is
not allowed
called yet. I don't know if it's a pass-through or if it's a points penalty, but it is definitely something. I want to say it is going to be a points penalty.
And with a lot of drivers... Oh, Dawson! Into the wall, turn 1, hard, direct impact into that outside wall.
He collects a third car with
CLR collected with him.
MVP collects in their car 2 separate wrecks. So they were definitely sort of... Chris 3 and 4 now a wreck as well.
Dawson now passes MVP on that backstretch. Looks like Vettel and Edwards also getting tangled up as well.
Off-road and next door were the ones that wrecked in turns number 3 and 4.
Yeah, off-road. A lot of cars. Well, not a lot of cars in one incident. A little amount of cars in a lot of incidents.
Yeah, I think what just happened is cars were avoiding wreck after wreck, and eventually you just can't avoid multiple wrecks. So I think it was just jumbling up of people checking up to avoid wrecks and people going fast to avoid the wreck and dive low. They come back up, they clip somebody, and the second wreck forms, and it just continues all the way down to turn 3 and 4.
As some might say, cautions will breed another caution. But that's why we have now, I believe, the 15-lap interval has been instituted now.
Yep. Wreck turns number 1 and 2. I believe it might be Hawk. Nope, it's not Hawk. I think it's MVP. Nope,
it is not MVP.
It was a green car. That's
is it Vettel?
Yep, Vettel. One of those
Vettel.
green cars.
Well, three bright green cars and 2 of them are in interstate battery schemes. Who planned that?
Makes our lives a lot harder. I went through every green
that?
car in the field and finally hit Vettel. it does sound like there may be some rule changes coming to drivers after this race.
And we'll see a lot of stuff going on throughout this race. And changes, they can be made after a race if race control, adminship, management do deem that a lot can happen, a lot can go on, a lot of changes can be made.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen this in the past with rule changes coming in during mid-season. I believe we saw 1 or 2 rules coming last season, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it was the season
Yes. Yeah, no. Last season we did have rule changes come in. We've already had a couple rule changes this season from the start, but they haven't been racing related. They have been Discord and moderation changes that we've made it so then our Discord server is more well fit for a broader community of people entering in. So we have made those changes in XRS, but not many actually on track and racing system changes have been made. And so if we do deem make those changes, they will be made swiftly and as fast as we can, so then we know what exactly we're dealing with and what we're looking for.
And I mean, I think this race has had a little bit of everything so far, and we're only lap 100 in. We've had penalties, we've had a big one, we've had great racing up front throughout this race. So I mean, it's had a little bit of everything here today.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of everything, and that who knows if that's something that's what you want to see. But if you want to see a little bit of everything, we've had some races that are complete polar opposites to where we only saw one thing. Even this season, we saw tight and intense, close action racing at the start of the season for the XRS 500 at Daytona. We saw that, and we saw a photo finish. So that was exciting all the way to the end. And me and you, AK, we both predicted that for that race. So we had that. We had then the second race of the season be completely opposite. With race 2, there was no close racing, no dispute or anything going on. It was simply Mugello. We knew we weren't going to see many cautions. After all, it was only going to be a 1 or 2 caution race. But we saw one driver vanquish, literally just dominate and take control of that race. Race 3, Brands Hatch Indy. I was not there in my absence, so AK, what did we see at Brands Hatch?
I mean, we saw leg outs from leaders, we've seen some close racing, but for the most part, MVP looked like the clear-cut winner throughout.
And for those who don't know, race 3, I was unable to make that event, and AK, he was able to sub in for me in my absence for that race. Then race 4, I was able to go back, and me and AK were able to go in race 4 at Sonoma. At Sonoma, we saw a comeback victory. We saw MVP. We knew he was fast from practice and his lap times. Purposely starts in the back, makes his way all the way to the front, and at the end, able to dominate with the win. Now this race, all of the above? Question mark? All of the above.
Option number D, all of the above. Penalties, close racing, hard racing, wrecks, big ones, you name it, it's here.
Yep, and this is only in 100 laps, so maybe we don't even need a 600-mile race. Maybe we only need a 50-mile race, and we can have everything jam-packed at Homestead.
Yeah. Oh, car on the wall, turns number 1 and 2. It's Slayer. He taps another car, he taps Hawk, and they're both wrecking.
Did look like that, and Clicks tagged as he tried to get around. Had no room to go. He did get into, I believe that's Slayer's death.
Yeah.
Yes, that is. And I'm assuming that is not within the interval.
Still trying to hear an official word. still no official word if it's going to be a yellow or not.
And from what we've heard so far, it's not looking like it. They've already made their way to pit road. They're in pit road right now. So we were probably not within that interval. And now with that, we have a massive gap forming between second and third. In third place, it's Panda.
Caution, is that
Panda being in third place. Oh, late caution to be called. Excuse me on that one. Late caution to be called. Panda actually being up here in third. Really good showing for Panda tonight.
There's a spinner
As we
turns
go
number
back
1
with
and 2.
Kart Racer. Yep, Kart Racer is now slowed down. Caution will be back out.
So it is now been switched over to the drivers if they do want the caution. Sounds like there was a debate if there was wanted to be a caution or not.
Okay, so now that means it is completely in the driver's control whether if they want the caution to be called or not.
Yeah,
We can have it to where...
The only qualifications are obviously you have to have some sort of damage.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it is in the driver's control. Typically... Yes, Panda, top 5 all race. Good on you.
Don't jinx yourself.
So, Good job. Typically... it would be, we would call the caution right away. All we would need to hear is that damage. We have damage, or you have damage, and it will be called. Now, it is up to the driver what if they even want the caution to be called or not. Still with the interval, though. Still with the 15-lap interval.
Just listening in, there may be something happening. It does sound like Vettel and Fitz did get 2 laps back instead of the actual 1 lap that they're supposed to, so I'm just seeing what might happen there. So, Clicks and Vettel have both been not black flagged yet, but have been warned that they will be if they continue doing what they are doing, so potentially black flags might come out for 2 cars before this race ends. Cars will be going this time by.
Field will get back going green.
Clicks and Vettel are being served penalties. They must start at the rear of the field for this restart.
Yeah. This almost looks like we're at Daytona with all the cars single file on the high side.
So that is Clicks' second penalty and Vettel's first.
Green flag back out just past 114, now on lap 115 out of 401. For restart, if we can get through this lap this clean, I'd say AK. You think it's fair to go through the field one by one?
Oh,
Oh, one car really slow all the way at the back. Who was that? That's CLR.
yeah, that's one of the rookies here tonight.
Yeah. And with the damage, barely able to control their car, trying to drift all the way through 3 and 4.
Oh, and he misses Pitts.
Misses Pitts! Okay, no, he's able to slow it down, get back going.
He definitely didn't want. He didn't have the entry he wanted to, but he didn't quite miss it.
Mm-hmm. All good Vettel fan. Came in here. I believe he accidentally came in and messaged on the Twitch chat instead of the Discord channel.
So here's where I think we'll start to see some drivers very much settle down as the next caution, if it comes very quickly, it does sound like it might be bumped up to 20 lap intervals for cautions.
Yep, and that will make it to where, at that point, could that then change pit strategy to where you know the chunks of cautions that will come out? We have seen drivers in the past use caution intervals to their advantage for a pit stop. We've seen it to where if it's a 10-lap interval per se, FM tagging the wall a little bit. Culture spinning off a 4.
Yeah, he's gonna get dodged by everyone. It looks like.
Yep, it just
no
looked
caution,
like he spun,
no
but everybody was able to get around. Yep, he spun, but everybody was able to get around.
No caution will be called. Obviously, no damage to Culture, so he already has filled the first requirement for that, and he's already said that he does not want one.
All right. And now what we have is that, like as I was saying, let's say we had 10-lap intervals. Drivers will then, if they feel like the field is getting dicey, like let's say already maybe an incident or two has happened within that 10 laps, they will pit on the 10th lap if they have suspicion that a caution will soon come out. But the only thing that does, that might throw in a wrench into your actual strategy call that you're trying to stick with the race.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like we've said, we'll see tons of strategies get scrapped, new strategies get formed. I'm sure almost everyone has changed their strategy at least once during this race already.
Yep, a lot can happen and a lot can go on throughout this entire race, and you just never quite know what you're actually going to stick with. If this were a 2 to 3 stop race,
4 almost runs in front of Dawson. I think him and Cliff
he might have gotten Forza walled. That or either that or did he get up against the wall? He might have been Forza walled.
I did see those two sort of banging off each other coming down the backstretch a fair bit, and it didn't look like friendly banging. It looked like there were some door slams and stuff. So I'm not gonna say 100%, but I am hearing the word "clip it," so that sort of needed to.
Oh, that very much incentivizes that an incident that they think is well enough for a penalty can happen. And if that happens, then yep, that's what we say: clip it. Because if you clip the event, or the incident, then, because we might not catch everything on stream. So, if you are then able to clip your point of view, you are then able to fully see what exactly happened and what went on. So then we know. The owners, admins, race control, they can review the event. We don't have instant replay. Once again, not in the budget. We don't have instant replay, so we're unable to review incidents back to back to back.
Yeah, this is a sort of a way for us to deal with these problems that may occur with potential retaliation. As quick as just, I don't know if he's taken out Hawk or not, but Hawk has just gotten absolutely destroyed.
Well, that's clicks in the wall right now.
Clicks has been black flagged. He is out of the race.
Clicks, black flag.
I thought he might have been slowing down Hawk. It looked like he was, but I wasn't 100% sure. He is just taking out Hawk. Clicks has not his black flag, but that means it's as if he never attended the race.
Yep, he has now been disqualified. So one, of course, he needs to leave the event for being black flagged. Failure to do so will result in a massive points penalty, which is very unfortunate because I believe this is his first start in XRS. So with this being his first start, not the greatest, and probably more of the worst that you can actually have. And so with this going on, with this going on, when a black flag is called, either way you're disqualified.
Clicks is not leaving.
We will see. We will see how race control will decide to handle this. Whether if they will elect to stop the entire race, resume back where we've been, and oh yeah, a lot of cars leaving, so we will try to leave right here, backing out right now.
This also gives a chance to anyone that has lagged out to get back in the race. Well, they'll be starting in the back of the pack. They will be able to get their stuff back, and I do believe everyone will get their laps back from this.
I mean, we do have a lag out rule implemented for the race. For if multiple drivers lag out, then we will get back going. I am receiving information from race control, so give me a second here.
Yep, it's been called. Lag out cars may join back.
Alright, I am back. AK, are you there?
Yep.
Okay, so we've seen control to where obviously, from what you had seen on screen, sorry for the delay for those viewers in the broadcast. From what we have it right now, is that we are doing a race reset due to Kleck's being failure to yield to his black flag penalty. And right now, as you stated earlier, AK, with this race reset and with other drivers who have lagged out of the race prior, they're allowed to join back. They are allowed to join back, and the distance of the race will then be shortened because of this delay. So now, instead of being a full 600-mile race, we were only around just past 100 laps in. I believe we were holding off at 130 in the ballpark over there. So, but now the race will resume with 200 laps to go. With 200 laps to go because of this penalty and because of this lobby reset. Race control is doing the best they can to get everything situated and under control. And for those of you watching on the stream, race control is simply just the two race directors in the race, being the two owners, JMX Culture and Kart Racer.
Yeah, and this changes a lot because now those cars are a lap down, get all their laps back, and anyone who's lagged out gets back in. So people like Reno who may have lagged out, we don't know. We aren't them, so we can't really see if they've lagged out or if they've just parked it for the night. We'll get a shot to come back in. So some of those big threats that lagged out, Reno being one of those, have a chance to come back in.
They have a chance to come back in. They have a chance to maybe potentially reset here. And because of the delay, obviously, race length, the total race distance has been shortened. I repeat, the distance of this race has been shortened due to this delay. It's just like NASCAR trying to get a race going after a rain delay, except they will only shorten the race if weather or even as extreme as they can't get the track fixed. But this is a video game, so we're not that extreme, even though we are the Extreme Racing series, so can't go too far.
Yeah. Wanting to report a problem to you. I'd like to report a problem about the current server, and fan, I need you to quickly do this. Current spam bot has just been added to the server. Username gifts if you'd like to remove them, sending links for accounts. Just joined right now. You'd like to take care of that problem.
Is that a bot? Oh yeah,
Yep.
That is a bot. Okay. That has now been taken care of.
Perfect.
DW40 in the chat. Just hold it pinned at turn 3 and 4 like Ross. Even though that's a video game move, I don't know that works in most video games. But appreciation from that. I don't know if any driver would then also take that suggestion as well. We do have a car actually running the Ross Chastain paint scheme that he ran. Now that we see guys are able to get the race back up and going.
Yeah, they're just getting the field sorted out right now, so we'll get back to green very shortly, hopefully.
Yep, we're already loaded back up and in. Kart Racer starting to lead the field around for the pace lap. Now, for sure, with this, all strategy has gone out the window. Because originally they were projecting that 400 lap, now it's gone down to 200 laps remaining. All the cars have been reset, so now it really feels like a second race that's 200 laps in length.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure some drivers are doing a sigh of relief because 400 laps is very long. It's like we said earlier, it's going to fatigue them. But for those that have long endurance, they're sort of kicking themselves in the butt right now because that was something that they were betting on.
Yep, I'm sure a lot of drivers who have ran timed GT races, who have ran mock Rolex 24s, they're going, this race is nothing. And so they could have had time to shine there at the end, but now... Rocket! Rocket, we love you, man, especially when you're going in the chat. He says, quote, the crew chief of the 33 was just forcibly removed from the track for an unknown reason. The 33 will have will have to fend himself for strategy.
I feel like that's most of the field tonight.
That's most of the field, though, Rocket. We don't have crew chiefs. You are very much your own self-strategist, unless you're in a team. If you're in a team, then typically the team owner or whoever is taking lead on that will do that for themselves.
Yeah, I don't.
Now making their way around 4. We'll get this race back underway. Green flag back out.
Cars will head into turns number 1 and 2. We'll see if they can keep it a little bit cleaner this time by. I'm not going to say anything because commentators curse. E-Dog just does script the law, but we make it through 1 and 2.
We for sure made it through. Now entering 3 and 4. Cars following in tow in line. Top 4 cars being able to hold themselves for their own.
Single car by the looks of it. I think it was just a spin.
2 cars now more trying to scramble. They have not wrecked. There you go. Girl Next Door was involved. Vettel fan, FM, slow, but I believe he was just trying to avoid the incident. Don't know if he has actual damage.
Nope, none of those cars have any damage, so I think it was just some spins.
Just a spin and trying to avoid it, slowing down all your momentum. Let's ride along here with D-Dog, who's running in really the only race car tonight, because the sponsor on the side of their car, Strange, being the sponsor of also tonight's race.
Yeah, I'm already hearing from multiple channels that people are changing their strategies and are going to new strategies. So like we predicted earlier, there are new strategies always in play.
Well, we didn't predict the race reset, but we did predict the change in strategies. We already were expecting that, but it might have only been to maybe reduce the 12 stops to potentially 10 stops. But now we have it to where everybody needs to change strategy because now it's only 200 laps.
Yeah, and I mean...
All right. Ooh, Panda. And Midnight side by side, able to keep in line. Watching along with D-Dog. D-Dog being patient, trying to make their way through. Both of them getting together side by side. And there we go, D-Dog. With a very veteran move, waiting for the 2 drivers in front of them to make the mistake. Now he's trying to take advantage. Gonna dive inside of Panda for that position in 3. Oh, Panda's around!
Midnight touch Panda. I don't think it was purposely because it was
He is able to hold
light.
it. He is able to hold it. He's able to save it. That's, I believe, the second or third time tonight Panda has gotten slightly arrow loose. I don't know if there was actual contact. From D-Dog's point of view, there was no contact.
Yeah, out car around in the back.
Car, spinner. Culture.
touches around.
And looks like he's able to save it. Unless he got into the outside wall while spinning, it looks like he is fine.
Yeah, obviously no caution there, no contact with anything, no damage. And another thing,
there's a car stopped in 1 and 2. That is off-road. Off-road, slow on the apron. Whoa, and we actually had a bit of a lag spike there. He is able to get back going.
yeah, another thing that, he does have a lot of damage to him, so he has had some sort of contact with either someone or something. But another thing that was
Riding back, close contact in 3. Dawson Hawk. So far, they haven't wrecked. I don't know how, but they haven't wrecked.
He's bumping. He's bumping that. He's bumping that.
Just a lot of bumping right now. Oracle now side by side with Dawson. Hawk following behind them, and I believe that is Midnight? Yes, Midnight is ahead of them. Hawk, oh, contact! Hawk spinning, Oracles down the backstretch as well, off of turn 2. Hawk back up across the track. Everyone's able to avoid him.
Something I was about to bring up is that Hawk, if he gets another top 3 this week, that's top 3 every race of the season so far. But fortunately, he has just wrecked, but he does have a lot of time still to get back up to that top 3. I believe he was running about 6 at the top.
Yep, now we have a loading screen. We're going to see who exactly got booted out, where if someone lagged out or they left. Looks like Vettel fan. So Vettel, unfortunate situation for him. He had been struggling all night, and he had been very verbal about it. First race and very bit rough going.
Yeah, and I mean, he obviously is one of the rookies here, but another rookie with another a penalty under their belt for their first race. He did get his penalty for just getting too many laps back. I believe it was just to go back at the restart to the back of the pack, which I do believe he did. So he did serve his penalty. But yet again, just leaving with it, I couldn't tell you if it was a lag error or park.
Rocket, I have a little statement for you, okay, Rocket? Once an owner, you're always worried every race, okay? So, and I'm sure if you have experience, because Rocket also being a team owner, cars wrecking, when your car wrecks, and especially when you want him to do well, you don't always get the best of both worlds every single time.
I'm hearing a good point being brought up is that we only have one green car left.
We started, yes. Yeah, we started.
Oh no, we have two still. We've lost only one. Hawk and MVP are our final 2 green cars.
Oh, okay. So it was Vettel. Vettel, he was the other bright green car, to say the least. Because I believe Oracle, Edwards. I believe Oracle, Edwards, they're all also in a car that has green on it. But the bright green cars were Hawk,
MVP, and Vettel.
MVP and Vettel, yes. MVP and Vettel, they were also running both interstate battery schemes.
and Hawk and MVP were usually running around each other, so that's fun.
So that helped us dearly.
Yeah. Maybe we should have, like, for the next race, we should just have a poll, like, for colors. Like, I'm gonna run a red car this week. I'm gonna run a dark green car this week.
Well, then you start to run out of colors.
Yeah, but it's easy to difference dark green and light green.
We're gonna go to
light
eventually.
green,
Hey,
green and light green.
No, because then eventually, look. Here's what's gonna happen. Someone's gonna run to Home Depot. They're gonna take a picture of a random color. It's gray, but it's not called gray. It's called like Orchid Hill or something like that. It's
Well,
gonna
guess
be
what?
called something else. And they're like, you know what? This is my color.
Well, how about this? We'll just set out the colors. So like dark green, light green, dark blue, light blue.
Well, what about green? You have
Yeah,
green,
but
a light, and a dark.
but easier a dark green and a light green is easier to difference than light green, and light green.
Well, yes, that's easier to differentiate. We can say dark green, like dark green is anything more across the lines of woods, pine trees, all that dark green essence, forest. So like an army car could be a dark green car. A light green car can be a Spotify car, or what we've seen, the interstate battery scheme. A regular green can be John Deere. I don't know.
Here's my differentiator.
Regular.
Is if we look at the front of Oracle's car, it's a nice dark green, right? And then we go look at MVP's car, it's a nice light green. Those are the.
Let's take a look at Oracle. We haven't ridden along with Oracle for a lot of races. Oh, he's actually running a gradient on his car. For most of his car, it looks black, but then when the gets shiny, you can say, and then it turns into that dark green. No, here's a regular green. Monster Energy. That's your regular green. Monster Energy is your regular green. This Interstate Batteries is right along with MVP. This is your bright green, or your light green. Bright light, it's the same. You can have it that way.
Bright night light.
Bright night light. The light green.
But you guys
Blue?
don't know. Is
I
that
don't
how,
know.
That's how I warm up. That's how I warm up the Phillies.
And I believe there was somebody in this race who was running a John Deere car, but I don't believe they're actually in the race anymore. Yeah, I don't believe they are in the race anymore.
Yeah, they had to get a night light, so they're bright white. New joke of the week.
Knowing you, you're going to keep it for a month.
Oh, yes, I am. It's going to be in every broadcast from here to season's end.
Until season's end. Oh, no.
It doesn't need to be brought up like 15 times. Only once, and I can count it as next week's. Bright, white, night, light.
Don't say them now. It won't. If you say them back to back to back in one race, that won't count.
Well, I'm just making sure I've got this week's in, you know?
You already said it once when you were describing it.
Yeah, but...
The race has now gotten a lot calmer after
well,
the
you say
reset,
that
I'm
when the
sure.
record turns to morning too.
Wow! Look at that timing. Who did it?
That
done
would
did
be
it?
Off-road.
Edwards.
And Edwards.
Edwards and off-road. You done did it.
You
Are y'all
done-
happy
you
about
done
yourselves?
did it. You done got
You
into
done did it.
commentator's curse.
You done. Commentators. That's only supposed to happen to AK?
Right? White night light. I feel like that's good timing.
That's okay. The race was calm until that point.
Or so you think.
At the race reset. Rocket, do not. He says, if we don't stop talking about green, I'm gonna get all my guys to paint their cars the exact same green, just to mess with us.
No.
Well, actually, we prefer blue. Blue's a nice color to work with.
By the way, caution is most likely out.
No, really? Yes, caution is out.
I don't know why I said most likely when I knew that it wasn't.
Most likely? Most likely.
Caution may
When-
or may not be out.
Oh my god. I think the driver's fatigue is applying to you, and you're not in the race. What's
Commentator
going
fatigue.
on?
No more water.
That's not commentator fatigue.
Out of
No more
water.
water.
Just like bright light night light.
Okay, that's enough.
No.
That is
No. It's enough for now.
Sure. Cars have, of course, make their way around to pit road. The top two, they've really just been the top two of the entire night. Kart Racer, Jankum, very dominant cars. So, AK, who's your money on? Either one of these two, but who do you think's going to come out on top?
I'd like J-Team to win. The one trick wonder comes in for one race and wins it. That would be cool. But so far he hasn't.
Well, Jankum, he hasn't been able to pass him, but what if he just necessarily doesn't want to pass him? Jankum, we know, is a very strategic and a very smart driver. He will not pass a driver if he does not need to. He's not a driver who tends to overextend his reach. Because if he really wanted to pass Kart, he probably would have passed him already.
Yeah, but we could also say the same about Kart. We've seen Kart hold off and sort of back off when he's in the lead just to sort of save stuff. So either one of these drivers could be playing a different role here, right? They could both be not pushing the cars too hard or as hard as they can go and be saving it till these last 10, 15 laps.
And it appears as if we have gone back to the double file restarts.
Yeah, I don't have a word on our caution intervals. But I'm
Whether if
sure
they
they'll
have
be
remained the same or changed.
Cars are going this time.
If the cars are going this time, the one car who's still in pit road, and that's Oracle. Hopefully he can speed it up.
I've just gotten the road. Caution intervals are still 15 laps.
They are still 15 laps, okay. So intervals, they're still remaining the same. But now we've gone back to the double file restarts as we initially, not at the start of the race, but they changed to single file restarts due to over-aggressive driving.
Green.
Yep, back to green. Kart, obviously. Anybody who's been in that lead position, able to get the good start that they have earned and hoped for. And they get good right away. All the way at the back, three wide with Culture spinning ahead. Hawk is around, that's for sure one of them. Two other cars trying to keep momentum going. They do not. CLR. I believe that's Girl Next Door on the bottom. Yes, that is. CLR spinning again, trying to get recovered back underway. Culture to pit road after that. He might have gotten tagged in the incident.
Involved in this, but obviously with the caution interval, no caution will come out.
Yep, no caution will be called for that at all.
I do think we will see longer green lap intervals, though, just simply because, not only because of caution intervals, but it seems like the racing and aggressive driving has toned down a lot since the beginning of the race.
It has toned down a lot. We do have less drivers.
Kirk Brown trying to get to pits. Goes back up on track and gets tagged. But he's
going back towards him. Yes, he's able to make his way to pit road.
Trying to go to pits, he spins off turns 3 and 4 and just gets clipped by one car.
Kart, we know he is running on a wheel, and that is
another
something
car
that
on
you
the
can
front
run
gets
into.
J-Team both first and second place having trouble getting on the pit road.
And maybe this could have been the same thing happening here, but what I was about to say is that with them, we know both of them are running on a wheel. Both of them are running on a wheel, and that makes it to where your car, especially in this package, you're already light off the corners. And what do I mean by that? The car, the actual weight of the car doesn't change, but your momentum does. The momentum is going to shift to where the rear of your car is going to want to go faster than the front of your car. That spins you out. So that's why you really need to control that momentum. And when you are going from banking to no banking, yes, there technically is banking on that apron, but there's not a lot of it. And so when you're making that transition, trying to get slowed down at the same time, that momentum shift, the rear end came around before the front. That's what caused the spin.
Yeah, and also, Homestead is just a very aggressive banking track. It's once you get into the corners from its top lane to its bottom lane is 14 degrees in banking. Its top lane is 20 degrees, and that's just the bottom lane. It gets even flatter from there. So it's a very high banking track. So just being slow coming into that corner and calling out that you're going to pit is very key, because like we've seen, you go too fast, you'll lose control. We've seen this 3 times now with Culture, Kart, and JT.
And there we go. MVP D-Dog battling.
D-Dog in the wall.
D-Dog in the wall. MVP slows, goes to pit road. Oh yes, they both go to pit road.
Panda now the leader. He'll lead for the first time tonight.
Yep. Car exiting pit road in front of him. That looks like 33, Midnight. He's able to get out of the way.
Top 4 all right there, right behind Panda. So it's not anyone's secured lead for now.
Yep, and we can ride back further. Just to Edwards, who's side by side. For second, he's able to clear that position. And now Edwards has sights on Panda. Edwards, I feel as if, has always been the underdog driver. He's typically not that fast in terms of qualifying, so we don't see him in raw qualifying pace, but somehow, some way, during the races, he is really able to make his way up to where he can be an underdog top 5 driver.
Yeah, and I mean, we've seen D-Dog dominate some races. We've seen him be very good last year at this race, but in the rain and at the road course. Oh, and we have one car.
Car in the wall!
He gets tagged.
CLR and Sleepy.
Yeah, with CLR, Sleepy, and I believe Midnight as well. Yeah, it was Midnight as well. Midnight was the first guy to tag him.
Back along with Panda, as if it will be Panda, Edwards behind him, and then FM Esports. Haven't really talked about him all night, other than he was running the Ross Chastain car.
Yeah, he also was up in the actual top 4 off the last restart. But he has been slowly making some progress up to the front.
Lap 41 of lap 201 after the race reset.
Panda's still leading. He has a fairly big gap, about 2 or 3 car lengths after that incident. So, I mean, it gave him some ground. Edwards now only really has to worry about Oracle and FM. Which Oracle's fairly far back, so really at this point it's just FM that he has to worry about. The top 3 are pretty much evenly spread out.
And as Panda actually mentioned earlier, he had been a top 5 car all night. And to that point, he has been. He's been a car that has had consistent speed. He was fast in practice. Obviously, with the LCQ of tonight's race, that put more pressure and emphasis on qualifying. That only made it to where, in the actual qualifying session, you needed to be top 18 to guarantee your spot in the race. Other than that, you needed to do an LCQ. You needed to do that mini race. It was only a 6-lap race. Nothing compared to the amount of laps that we're doing in the actual race. But obviously, Panda, he was able to show speed. Now he's able to be in first after a few incidents, after some cars making their way to pit road. So we'll see how long Panda keeps himself in this track position to see whether if he's able to get himself into a rhythm to rather be behind the top 3 cars. He is one of the top 3 cars and trying to fight for the lead.
Speaking of top 3, obviously Hawk has gone top 3 so far every race, but this one, at least for the time being. But he's back in 10th. He's slowly made his way up through the field, but he needs to start really get going if he wants to get up to that first spot. The top 3 spot, rather, before the end of this race. Top 3 has pretty much stayed even so far. Oh, now Edwards has tapped the wall, so this opens up the door for FM. FM will slide up to 2nd place with the help of Off-Road. That's the father-son duo right there.
We have seen this happen a few times so far tonight, where one car, they tap or they just simply lose momentum, and makes it to where another car is able to sneak on by. Let's go back up to the leader with Panda, and as the leader comes to start, lap 47. I mean, we've already done through a lot tonight, so AK, crank it up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Crank it up. We're back after that short break for Crank It Up. And now, obviously, caution came back out. So, not many laps that we missed. We started on lap 47. We're going to get back going. Lap 50 onto lap 51.
And it does appear that we will be taking the green this time by.
Yep, Panda still maintaining control. D-Dog with him. Front row, Panda able to get that jump. Obviously, we've seen every single leader take advantage.
Yeah, so far that seems to be the common trend in all three shows. The leader takes a good jump, and we have a car spinning in the back of the pack. Does get tagged by one car, but they seem to keep going. The second car does spin, though.
And that was Slayer's death. And Dawson all slow.
He did get
now
tagged
looks like
by
Midnight makes his way to pit road, and Slayer spins again, trying to make his way back around.
Yeah, he did get tagged by a third car, so I'm going to assume that that was the third car that did tag him.
Yep.
But so far, a common trend
Sleepy
off
into pit road, sorry. This top three about to get bunched up here. Let's go with a game camera on MVP. He's in third place right now. He's looking in on D-Dog, trying to inch closer and closer to Panda, who has been in the lead, really, after the incident that Cart and Jenkum were unable to successfully enter into pit road, spinning into pit road.
So far, the highest green car of the field. Fox slowly moved his way up to 7th place, so he's gained 3 positions since that last race start. But he's moved very fast up through that field. It was partial, in fact, to those 3 cars that had that early spin off that restart.
Now that other cars have made their way around pit road, we see one lap car ahead of the leaders.
Yeah.
They just had gotten off pit road.
Yeah, and this lap car, which is, I can't quite tell who that is, but I think it's Cart. So Cart might get a lap down. But, I mean, lap cars will come into play for these leaders because you never know where they're going to go unless they call it out, which some people just don't realize that they're about to be lapped, so some cars don't call it out.
And Cart already being 1 lap down, so he doesn't want to lose a second lap if that is Cart.
Yeah, and I think when he did spin and get clipped coming to pit road, I think that definitely cost him a lot of valuable time. Same with Joaquin, who's all the way back down.
D-Dog now able to get around Panda.
The D-Dog will lead tonight. I don't know if this, I believe this car is, I think this is its first time being up front, being in the lead, I mean. So I don't think D-Dog's been in the lead once, but sponsor car going into the lead.
Yep, and now Panda fighting more on the bottom. MVP approaching behind him. So now off of 2, D-Dog, Panda side by side. Let's see. Panda, typically the car with the lower line, gets the advantage in 3 and 4. D-Dog trying to hold strong on that outside. MVP just watching this show happen in front of him. D-Dog with momentum off 4. Panda still trying to fight hard on the bottom. MVP, he's going to drive it in hard behind Panda. Not close enough to get him loose, though. Still, Panda, D-Dog, side by side. They've been side by side for a whole lap now.
Yeah, this is some really good racing between these two for this lead, and probably some of the better racing we've seen all night. As D-Dog gets the wall, I just had to open up my mouth, didn't I?
Yep, so what happened there is that Panda, he started to squeeze. He pinched D-Dog, gave him a little bit less room than he wanted. A little bit of contact there between D-Dog and MVP.
No, actually no
Looks
contact.
like MVP has been...
MVP, never mind. There's some contact.
Troll next door, yes. Spun around MVP.
MVP just didn't quite get the line he wanted, coming into 1 and 2. Did get a little loose, probably a little bit of aero loose. I'm sure D-Dog didn't help with the aero. And then I don't know what happened there with with him next door, but I'm sure it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, especially with cars racing side by side like that, getting so close together. That's been some of the closest racing that we've seen amongst the leaders up front, at least. The racing overall up front has been good, but that was for sure. That was between 3 cars. We had between 4 cars, but that was off a restart. So that was for sure some of the best racing that we've seen thus far for a stretch of drivers being ahead during the green flag stints.
Yeah, in all honesty, D-Dog did tap that wall a fair bit, but he didn't really lose a lot of time. He got lucky with how he hit it and how fast he got off that wall. So he's right battling with Panda still, and he's looking now on the inside who's going to get there.
Yep, he is there still side by side. It looked like Panda still led that time. We'll see now Panda. The tables have flipped. It looks like Panda not going to be able to hold that outside. He gives in. And so now D-Dog able to take the lead cleanly. With Panda, of course, he's probably going to fight back as he's trying to then get into D-Dog's draft once more.
Yeah, and you almost like to be second place in these scenarios because in first place, you can't really, you sort of react based off second place. In this case, when you're second place, you can make them react because D-Dog's obviously going to try and block Panda at least a little bit, even subconsciously block him. He's going to run his line, make sure he can't get any runs, can't catch up to D-Dog as fast as he'd like to. So you're sort of in first place. You have to react instead of what the person in front of you will.
Yep, and keynote to take there is that this isn't Daytona. This isn't to where you are very much straight line drafting. Because at Daytona, I'd say it's more the leader who's in control of the race. The lead car is in control of that race at Daytona. But this isn't Daytona. It's not even Indianapolis. Indianapolis, you get a good mixture of racing to where it's not quite the lead car, and it's not quite second place. Trying to take control of that as we see MVP getting around Panda. Panda goes to pit road, actually. So that's why he got around him.
Yeah, and
to where Homestead, this is the kind of racing and momentum shifts that you want to see.
Yeah, MVP got real tight off in the middle of 1 and 2. He'll slide up the track a little bit. So he lost a fair bit of ground to that, but now D-Dog he has a fairly comfortable lead. He just needs to sort of run down these laps. He needs to know when he needs to pit and stick to his strategy at this point. Which, speaking of strategy, I'm going to be saying that I think we'll be seeing the pit cycle start to come through if we don't get a caution here soon.
Yep, we already had drivers pit earlier ago. That's why Cart and Jankum, they obviously have not retained their spots as the leader because they lost a lap going through the pit cycles, and they still are a lap down because they've just been trying to fight their way back.
Yeah, but being that if you're 1 lap down like Jakeem is, actually I don't even think Jakeem is a lap down.
Nope, Jankum, yep, he's the first. Yeah, Jankum, he's the first car 1 lap down.
Oh, is he? Okay, then we must have just passed him. But because of that, it's almost better because you now know, especially Jakeem, once MVP and once this pit cycle goes through, you have a very high chance of actually being cycled out to the lead. So it's sort of one of those, like you said, strategy will come in big here because it is not exactly 1 lap, but it's just about a lap and a half per pit. Obviously, with Jakeem being just under a lap down, he has a high chance of being cycled out if, let's say, MVP or the field doesn't get a really good pit. Then we will have a high chance of seeing Jakeem back into the lead.
Obviously, with him being the first car 1 lap down, that does make it to where Jankum is better. Does have that better advantage to where, okay, after when all these guys in the front pit, you're going to be that first car up there, whether it be other cars battling him, because Panda, he's in 9th position-wise, but let's actually take a look real quick, see if anybody's near Jankum on track. And it looks like no, Jankum is not near anybody for position on track, because there's a good gap between him and Panda. There's about just over half a straightaway gap between him and Panda. We can't obviously tell because once you're a lap down, the distance behind the leader interval goes away. Actually, let me see if I can set it to distance behind the driver.
On the topic of pit strategy, obviously with J King and Culture and MVP and Panda, there's two different strategies and two very clear different strategies there. So it'll really be seen which one goes through. As MVP comes in the pit, that'll mean J King will get his lap back, but obviously still everyone else has to pit ahead of him. Which sixth place, I believe Edwards has just pit. I couldn't quite tell who that name was. New leader though.
Or no, MVP.
Was it MVP? Oh, sorry, yes,
Yep,
that was
saw,
MVP. I thought it was.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yep, right as the ticker went away, it showed the pit road icon for
D-Dog
MVP.
in the pit lane. Leader. D-Dog spins coming in.
Oh, well, he's in.
Doesn't do nearly as bad as J.K. McCullough, so he's all good.
Yeah, but now he's obviously in pit road. All those other cars able to make their way around.
Look
See
who's
how
up
many
front.
positions each one of them will lose.
Looking to make it, what now, 4 or 5 weeks in a row?
And I believe, JD Max Hawk, yes.
And here's where this strategy is sort of falling apart for J. Keem. He has gotten his lap back, but if we look at everyone ahead of him...
He only gained one position.
If we look at everyone ahead of him, they're on about the same fuel mileage as he is.
Yep, so Jankum, he only gained one position from that after he got shuffled all the way back to where he was. So maybe we can see a different strategy call, or maybe some drivers to this point. This has been one of the longer green flag runs, if not the longest green flag run that we've had so far in the race.
Spin, turn,
so now
front stretch. I believe that might have been D-Dog. I couldn't quite tell.
We're going to D-Dog's name.
Yes, it was.
And it does look like it was him, yes.
No damage to those, so I don't know if they'll call it.
Hawk to pit road. So now he's not the leader.
Off-road will
Off-road
for the first time tonight.
Yeah. So now after a few cycles, we see Hawk down pit road. So that should be another position gained for Jankum as we go back. That should put Jankum, I believe, in the top 5 now. Yep, as Jankum is now going to pass Hawk.
D-Dog has spun again, and he has completely wrecked. He is now heavily damaged off turns 1 and 2.
What happened here?
It does appear to be a single car, because, I mean, I don't believe... Maybe Slayer, but I don't know for sure. Slayer is in pit road. But D-Dog has fallen back in 14th place.
Caution is out. Off-road has slowed down after he crossed the line. So there will be a yellow called for that.
CLR has had contact with D-Dog, I believe, because he's just come in and he had a lot of damage to his car.
Yeah.
But I do believe those two had some sort of contact, and D-Dog just got the worst of it. So now here's where the strategy sort of splits off into two. Do you try and bank that another caution will come out right at 15? Because if so, then you might be able to make it with your fuel, like off-road. Or do you just come down this time and sort of sacrifice only a couple spots? And then there's obviously that third strategy that J. Keem and Culture are running. So, be interesting. Everyone bites who hadn't pit yet, so there'll still be only 2, well, I guess 3 now strategies still, because MVP, Panda, and Hawk all pitted at before this caution.
Okay, that's enough of the spaz on pit road.
Don't mind FM. He's just sort of on the top of a car coming out of pit lane.
Don't mind cars going in and out, flipping over and over.
Don't mind FM coming out on top of a car in pit lane.
You would think after all the years that Forza has been around that that's something that they would have established that the cars when you go onto pit road can be handled orderly, especially when multiple cars are in. Nope, can't quite have that.
Orderly fashion in a pit lane. Forza Motorsport 7 has never heard of that. They don't know that. That's not in their vocabulary.
Especially in this race. What, we started with the maximum 22 drivers, and even then, you could have a maximum of 24 if there were no broadcast, no commentators taking up some driver spots. NASCAR has 40 plus drivers racing at Homestead.
Imagine 40 cars coming down pit lane in this game. Dear God.
There would be a tsunami in pit road of just cars.
There would be an explosion at the end of pit lane of cars. It'd be so majestic.
The pit lane would look like Grand Theft Auto 5.
When it first came out.
When it first came out, yes. There wouldn't be a space laser that you can hold in your hand.
No Mark II oppressors to be found, but it's still just as
no
chaotic,
Mark II
if not
oppressors.
more. Listen, y'all know who you are, and y'all need to go. I'm just out here trying to mess around, and then I just get exploded from like 4.5 miles away.
It looks like another driver's making their way around, speeding ahead to get their lap back.
And you want to know who this helps? This helps Cart a lot. He was only one lap down, he gets that lap back.
This does help Cart a lot. We're going to see if the cars actually get going or if they're going to go one more waiting for this driver.
Nope.
They're not. They're going to go.
FM didn't get a terrific restart. He spun his tires a little bit, right behind Cart, so that held up Cart a little bit.
And now looking at the chat, Rocket, once again, pit road on FM7 is more chaotic than the best free sample stand at Costco.
He's not wrong.
Not wrong.
I've seen a battle royale for the last free sample, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Oh, clean through lap
Cart,
one.
let's go back to him. Speaking of Cart, let's go back all the way to him. He's side by side with Jenkum. We know these two are the two top fastest drivers. Now with them being next to each other, I'm going to stick with them for these next few laps. Next few laps. See if they're going to pit pocket through the field here.
Right behind me.
Because right now they're all in line.
It was a black
Saw
car.
one. Only saw one.
Yes.
Yep, Slayer.
We called it sooner, but Mike was muted. I watched it full.
Yep, and here they go. Cart and Jenkum both underneath FM. And it looks like they will easily get around FM.
Yeah, they're gonna steadily work
probably going to stick just so then our viewers here and everybody can get a sense of how it is to pit pocket through this field. I'm riding along with Cart just for these next few laps to see these guys. We know they're fast. We know they're the top two drivers in the field in terms of speed at this track and the way that they were running earlier. So they have the speed to get back up front. And now you see, once again, in the same spot, turns 3 and 4. Able to get around Jacob. He did get clipped over by Edwards. Edwards was trying to stay outside of that wall.
I do think J-Kim did come up a little bit, and I think it was J-Kim came up, and Edwards might have come down a little bit, but I definitely know J-Kim went up just a tiny bit.
It might have been a mix of both. Jankum, like we said earlier, yes, he is a driver that doesn't tend to overextend, but he also knows when he's definitely faster than another driver. Jankum And as we see loading screen now,
That was Slayer.
another driver left. Yes, Slayer left.
Unfortunate for JT.
Back to back to what I was saying earlier. To where he doesn't overextend, but he also knows when he's a lot faster than the other driver. And I guess he thought he would have carried more momentum there, but for sure it was a mix of both. One driver coming down, the other driver coming up.
Yeah, and that's just a racing incident. I do think JT thought he would have been cleared because he did just barely, ever so slightly clip him by like half an inch. He might have, if half an inch more, and I think JT cleared Edwards there.
Close racing between the top three. MVP in the lead, Panda second, off-road third. We're riding along with off-road. And now Panda, we're going to see if he's able to actually get to MVP because he sends it in. Panda, I've been noticing this. Panda's for sure sending it more into the entry on corners, but he's more trying to be cautious on the exits. So he for sure tries to get that pass guaranteed in the entries rather than the exited corners, which is kind of interesting. Different driving style from what we've seen from most drivers tonight.
And it's like what I said at the beginning of the broadcast, is this track is really a give and take with this tune, right? You can send it in at the beginning of the corner, but that means you can't send it means you won't get a good exit, as some of it. Or you have a worse entry but a great exit. It's sort of like a give and take. You have to choose one or the other. If you choose both, well, we've seen what happens when you choose both. You go into the wall and lose a lot of time or spin.
Now we see really the top six cars kind of under a blanket, right along with Hawk. As he is sort of in the middle of this mix. He has two cars behind him.
Oh,
and Panda! Yep. As we were looking behind Hawk, that's when the contact occurred, so we actually didn't get that contact. And he might have not even touched him. It might have been errorless, because I didn't even hear the contact between him and Panda.
I unfortunately missed it by about half a second. I had just switched to Hawk, and I just seen Panda shoot up the track, so I can't give a confirmed whether there was contact or not, but that means Hawk to now third, but now it's moving to P for second. And god damn it, why do we have both the green cars next to each other?
Why? Okay, well, one's more red than the other, so don't worry about that.
Really.
Hawk on the inside. Hawk on the inside. MVP on the outside. MVP's trying to side draft with Hawk. He tried to beat him to the line as Costin's now out.
Yeah, Caution will come out, and this will be fun, trying to figure out who's who. Where's Waldo with these two cars?
Not necessarily. Hawk, he's in second.
So like Pit.
Well, here's the way. Well, here's the way you can separate the cars, aka if you need. MVP, one has a brighter green and also has black on the car. Hawk, he does not have black on his car.
The details and accents are black.
Unless you want to count the rear spoiler. No, on
grill,
on Hawk's car.
Bumper.
He fake fits.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But Hawk looking to go
first few cars.
6 weeks, 5 weeks in a row. Top threes.
5 weeks. We've only had 5 weeks. Well, 5 races, 6 weeks since we had the bye week last week. And reason for that, if people who are viewing the stream are wondering why we did not go live last week, even though we did have a stream scheduled, is because we did have a bye week. We did have a bye week. It was for the IRL NASCAR Championships, to where Joey Logano was crowned the champion at Phoenix for the Cup Series. Ty Gibbs was crowned a champion at the Xfinity Series, and I believe, was it Zane Smith? And Zane Smith, who was crowned the Truck Series champion?
Yeah, that's the only one I kind of watched in live. Watched the other one. Didn't like it, though. Recce and Recce Jr. both won. What the heck?
Enough about IRL NASCAR. Let's get on to this racing. which we have Off-Road and Hawk.
Look who's made his way up to fourth, Cart.
Yeah. Jenkin after that setback all the way 15th, one lap down. Green flag back out.
Oh, Panda with a bad restart. He gets clipped and does touch the wall eventually. MVP really loose. That gives Cart an opening to get up to third place now. Like I said, it helped Cart get unlapped. He unlapped himself, and now look where he is. He's challenging for the lead already.
And it does look like, other than Panda, cars are able to get their way through. Now, obviously, not enough happened for a false restart to be called.
Yeah, I think what just happened there is Panda Price spun his tires and then got clipped because obviously he was probably on cold tires. So he spins his tires, person behind him doesn't realize it hits him, and now he's loose. And that's sort of what happens. MVP in the wall.
Hawk got into the wall.
Cart goes
Oh, car spin.
Everyone dodges him.
No one's going to hit him. Oh, another car spinning up ahead, though. They got into the inside wall.
Nope, not quite. They did get loose. Very loose.
Nope. I saw from Cart's perspective, they did get into the inside wall. They bumped off it.
Oh, 3 wide now for fourth place.
That was Dawson. Dawson was the one who spun on the front stretch. D-Dog making his way around MVP. Hawk side by side with... excuse me, that was Midnight. Midnight challenging on the high side. D-Dog getting momentum, sliding up a little bit, losing time to Hawk.
Yeah,
Hawk now under him.
Hawk had a very good exit in 1 and 2. And he
Yep, he very much did. He was able to almost pull a crossover on D-Dog. And now he couldn't quite clear him off of 4 there.
Oh good, 3 green cars.
And Hawk, he is able to clear him now. Now he's able to clear him. Now we're going to see if Hawk can gain momentum on the second green car in line, that being Oracle.
D-Dog with a good run off the corner, but Hawk can block him, so it doesn't really go anywhere with it. In fact, he'll lose time to Midnight now.
Top 3 cars all now starting to have a small gap forming between them. Off-Road, of course, being the leader, MVP in second, then Oracle in third. Now, then there's the bigger gap between all the way back to 4th and 5th, being Hawk and D-Dog. Midnight trying to be contesting. But right now, he's needing to deal with Girl Next Door behind him.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these guys in this top 5 to 7 are really guys we haven't talked about much tonight. Also, Midnight, Next Door, Off-Road for sure we haven't talked about a lot, but he's been sort of a surprising tonight, and he sort of silently just made his progress through the track. It looks like maybe he was waiting for the later stages of the race to really show what he can do.
Yep, and Girl Next Door able to get around Midnight. Now we're at the halfway point in the race after the restart that we've been able to get to this point in time, and like we kind of predicted in the original 400 lap distance set at the beginning of the race that we're going to see some guys go in and out just based off of pure speed and fatigue.
Yeah, and I think one that fits that budget is definitely Off-Road. Off-Road has, by the looks of it, taken advantage of people's fatigue. Oracle, same here. 2 guys that have been very quiet most of the night, but now are in both the top 3. So they've been silently working their way through this pack.
And what's not helping is that 13th and 15th, who are undoubtedly the 2 faster cars of today, being Cart and Jenkum, not really in the position that they want to be with now less than 100 laps to go into the race. So, I mean, I don't know what more you can do and rather just hope for a yellow.
Yeah, and that's...
You need to hope for a yellow before your next pit stop if you're Cart and Jenkum right now.
Yeah, and I mean, right in front of Jay Team's 3 wide, he might actually get his wish right now. Culture and Edwards both in the wall. Oh, and he's turning Midnight. Midnight does save it. Jay Team using the bumper now. Obviously, J Team is a lap down, so he's trying to get back a lap. So J Team, I would say, for the most part, is out of this unless a caution does come out. And while Kart is fast, he's also in 15th and also a lap down. So these are two guys definitely need a caution to get back in this race.
Yep, they've been two of the most dominant cars of the day. Jankum, he hasn't led that many laps at all. Kart Racer, he's been the one to really lead laps out front. But Jankum has been right behind him, and Jankum actually has the fastest lap of the race. So Jankum, we know, has good speed. We know he's been right there with Kart. And like I said earlier, with Jankum, him being second behind Kart earlier in the race, he didn't feel as if he had so much urgency to get around Kart because this isn't the last lap. He's not going for the win.
Oh, and MVP, I don't know if he touched Oracle, but he definitely got him at least loose. Oracle will fall back down to third. He had just passed MVP for second. This gives Off-Road a huge lead. All Off-Road has to do is really just not coast it, but just play these laps a little. He can play them a little more cautious. He doesn't have to push his car as much, but he should still be pushing it just a little bit, just making sure you can extend that gap or keep that gap the same as it is right now.
And obviously, with Off-Road, it should be noted that, as we said at the top of the hour, or at the top of the race in the beginning, Off-Road, he was fast. He had speed at the championship race in this same tune last season. He was for sure very quick, had a lot of speed, and it was simply because he was able to maintain his momentum. Yes, caution has come out. But now continue talking with Off-Road. He was able to keep a lot of his momentum. He was fast in practice, and he had struggles in the first half of the race last season. But now we see here he's leading the Strange 600 at Homestead.
And I'm sure that's not what Off-Road wanted to see at all. He wanted to see green all the way through because he knew he was fast, at least for the time being, faster than MVP and Oracle because he had made a huge lead just by himself. But this now puts both J-Team and Kart back onto the race list because they were a lap down, and yeah, they're fast, but there was no way they were getting a lap back and then coming back around and passing again. Only one car doesn't go to pit road.
That's Panda, because Panda, he had actually made his way to pit road not too long ago. Yeah. So Panda being the only car to stay out off of that chain of cars, now that makes it to where Panda, I'm sure maybe he was expecting more cars to go in.
Yeah, and I mean...
Or more cars to stay out, rather, with him.
Yeah.
So now that puts Panda in a predicament here.
This makes him the only one on this strategy, which could play out very well for him, or it could play out very bad for him. It's going to happen before, like places like Daytona, where we see this oddball strategy that only one or two cars use, and we've seen it pay off, but we've also seen it break their entire race.
Yep, I believe what you're referring to is when Offset, and I believe MVP as well, they were on a different strategy when we first came to Daytona for the XRS 500. And they were out front for those final 15, 10-ish laps, but not, or towards the end, but they weren't quite there at the end because they didn't make it.
Yeah, I believe
they were on a strategy that did not, yeah, they were 2-3 laps short on fuel. And that's what allowed the photo finish between Kart and Reno to happen. Now, Panda, is he trying to shoot a Hail Mary here?
I mean, I don't think he's intentionally doing it, but I think he just got stuck with it now is sort of what he's done with it. Because like we've said, I'm sure Panda came in with one strategy, changed it during the middle of the race, and has now changed it again. And I believe Panda's just had a huge lag spike.
I believe so. There was for sure a lag spike in the lobby.
Sleepy has left
Sleepy.
and has parked it for the night, and because of that, Panda actually got damage. And now it has disappeared. I have no clue what's going on. He now no longer has damage. He did have damage, but it has just disappeared.
Well, it might have been because of the lag out.
Yeah, it definitely could have been, but I don't know.
From the looks of it right now, though, we don't see Panda trying to dive ahead and into pit road, so it doesn't look like he actually did sustain enough damage, or he didn't sustain damage at all. We'll get back going. Oh, one car loose on the inside. It looks like they are able to keep it straight. I believe that was the girl next door who was a little loose there on the bottom lane.
Yeah. Oh, one car hits the wall a fair bit, misjudging 2 cars around.
That was Dawson Jacob.
The pack, and he gets collected. He tags a couple more.
That was Jankum. Yep. Jankum, Dawson, FM, all slow at the tail end of the field.
And this is just not what Jankum wanted for his last half of the race. He has just been plagued by some bad luck. For these last couple of laps, he's obviously gone down he's gone down laps multiple times on this later half. And this is what I was saying earlier, is that these two, that Hart and JP may not be here at the end of the race. It may not be their fault. It may just be fatigue, and I do think the fatigue is starting to set in for some of these guys.
Well, whether it be fatigue or whether it be just wrong place, wrong time, you never quite know what's actually happening. Off-road, able to make ground. We're riding along with him. He's inside Oracle down the backstretch. And we're going to see if he's able to take advantage in 3 and 4. He was able to get around MVP off the restart. And Off-road will clear him.
A face we see up here a lot in these top 3 areas, right in front of him. That's Hawk. Like we said many times now, he's keeping the streak at least alive for now of being top 3 in every race so far, that being 5 in total now. So we'll see if he can keep it alive this week yet again.
And as of right now, as they run, obviously we're nowhere near the end of the race, but as of where they run right now, Hawk would then retake the points lead. It is only 3 points that MVP has over Hawk, but there's point separation if you're running in the top 5. It's only from when you get to 6 on back where it's a 1-point difference. First to second, there is a 5-point difference. From second to third, there is a 4-point difference, then a 3-point difference for third and fourth, and then a 2-point difference for fourth and fifth. So right now, with Hawk running in that third spot and MVP running 2 places behind, yes, Hawk would be for sure the points leader. Actually, potentially tied with MVP if MVP makes up another spot.
And that just shows you the difference between a win and being consistent. MVP with 2 wins. Obviously, like we said, Daytona, he did not have a great race. But he has 2 wins. Hawk doesn't have a win yet. He's still looking for his first win. But he's gotten third, and second. So third, and second so far throughout the season.
Yep.
And he's in second right now. Hawk's still looking for his first win. If he gets his first win, he would have a huge gap over MVP if he were to get first in the race and right there and then, how it is right now.
Yep, he would for sure gain a bigger gap, but if, let's say, MVP is able to pull out a second-place victory in this race, and then Hawk is able to then take the lead and the win, that would make it to where, okay, like we said, 5-point gap, MVP only has a 3-point lead, that's only a 2-point lead for Hawk. Playoff points, though, they're going to be so close in playoff points. And that's something that I'm sure Hawk is actually looking at. Because at this point, at the pace that MVP and Hawk are running, as long as they start the remaining races this season, they will for sure both be in the top 8 in the standings to make the playoffs. What's going to separate them come playoffs? Those playoff points that they're earning right now in the regular season.
Yeah, and like we said, it's a difference of wins and consistency. Hawk's probably been the more consistent one, but MVP has more wins. And both those things are being equally challenged right now because MVP with 2 wins has almost the exact same amount of playoff points that Hawk has, being consistently third and second.
Yep, and that's with the way that our point system works. It makes it to where, obviously, yes, if you are granted a win, you are granted more of an advantage. But you don't have all the advantage, and it still makes it to where people, I'm not going to say people like Hawk, because he is for sure is a very winning driver. I believe Hawk is only second on the all-time wins list for NASCAR. So Hawk, he can for sure get it done for wins. It's just a matter of Hawk being able to climb his way and actually rack up all those points, because that's what gave him the big advantage last season, as I believe he had probably a 5-point gap between him and the second place car, but he had a 17-point gap between him and the cut line. So all these points can make a big difference at the end.
Yeah, and you know what? Somebody who last year needed a couple more points and a couple more positions was off-road, and right now he's been really fast these last like 50-ish laps, and I think he's one of those guys that has used the sort of long race fatigue. Never mind, as he gets into the wall with Panda, he followed Panda's line.
Yep, he got into it a little bit. Now Hawk is going to be able to contest Panda for the lead. He's able to get around him clean. Panda fighting back on the bottom.
And this is going to be one race that Hawk wants to win. We're obviously winding down these laps. Just under 7 to go. They contact. They keep it straight.
Yep. Very close side by side. But Panda is able... Both of these drivers are hungry for wins for 2 completely different reasons. Hawk, he's been Mr. Consistency this season. As you stated, his finishes have been top 3 the entire season. Now as Panda slips up. Panda, he's still looking for his first career victory. Panda has been a winless driver throughout his career, but he has been close a couple times now at trying to be able to grab that first win. Here, Panda has been showing top 5 speed the entire race. Now we see him fighting back to the bottom, entering 1 and 2. So both of these drivers hungry for a win, but for opposite different reasons.
Yeah, and obviously Hawk's hungry for a win right now. And he got arrow loose, and he got...
Yep, got arrow loose, both of them slightly. Panda able to hold it.
Obviously Hawk is hungry for a win because he's been so close so many times this season already. Obviously Mr. Consistency, like we said. But he really wants that win just to finally snap that streak and finally pull through and get that win.
Hawk able, of course, to remain out on top after all of that. He only got a little bit loose under Panda. Panda slow, he's going to pit road, trying to avoid everyone.
Yeah, and I think his fuel was finally running out, and I think that's sort of the end of the strategy for him, at least for this run. So I think that's where these strategies will separate.
Now caution is out. And whoa!
Very close. Oh, one car on the wall.
Panda and off-road. Panda shot up in front of the track, in front of off-road, after he came down the pit lane.
Yeah, I don't know on that. That's exiting pits unsafely. I don't know.
Whoa.
I don't know if the call will be there. That was pretty clear as day, exiting pits safely.
Yes, we clearly saw that on stream. We were on board with off-road.
He almost hit Hawk and then
almost hit Hawk. Yeah, he almost hit Hawk and then he nailed off-road in his left side door.
Yeah, I don't know the call on that one. That will be.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if race control is going to make a call on that one.
I mean, we've seen it once before already this race.
I'm sorry, that actually wasn't exiting pit road. That was all the way back in turns 3 and 4.
Well, it would be exiting pit road for Hawk because he came up almost right in front of Hawk the second he came out of pits. But well, I don't know what the call would be for off-road, if that would continue over for that or just unsafe driving. I don't know what the call would be there. But obviously we're going to be going this time by the looks of it, as we're getting doubled up again. And
yep, doubled up, the field all grouped together.
Look at the 2 cars up front again.
MVP and Cart, or sorry, Cart behind MVP, sorry. Hawk is next to MVP and off-road with him.
So we're going one more time. We had a car dive down pit road.
Two cars actually down in the pit lane, yeah.
Same thing again. Hart was in this predicament last caution. Caution came up for him, and he did fall back a little bit. But we know he's fast. We know off-road. These top 4 have been some of the leaders most of the race. Off-road has led most of this latter race. MVP has been right there with him. Hart led most of the beginning of this race and through the middle of it, and Hawk has also been up here a couple of times as well. So these top 4 have been really fast all night, and we.
Top 4 have been fast. Obviously, the 2 dominant cars that we keep reiterating. Jankum, he's actually all the way back in 12th. He is on the lead lap, so hopefully he doesn't get caught at the wrong place at the wrong time again. We're going to see if lap 1, we're going to complete 131 out of the 201 laps left remaining in this race. And it will for sure be interesting. We will ride along with Cart, seeing what kind of start that he gets this time. MVP Hawk, the front row, in control. Hawk goes, and now everyone follows.
That was probably one of the better restarts for second place we've seen tonight. Not a huge gap as the cars are spinning behind them. Panda's involved. Panda. They all sit.
Yep, he's gonna. Oh, as now we have low. We have a lag right now. Hold on. Okay, now the lag is cleared. Who's the driver that lagged out there?
There's one.
Might have been a lag spike or a driver lagged out.
I believe that was the lag
didn't have anyone lag. Yeah. That was a lag spike, yeah.
Cart makes move for second place now. Looks on the inside of MVP. Can't quite get there.
What he wanted to do, because we're still on board with Cart.
He does the wall, so he does get the spot.
Yep.
Wrecking behind them on the front stretch. Multiple cars involved. D-Dog involved. Next door's involved.
Yep,
J-Keem's also in it.
Next door, Jankum. Unfortunate for Jankum. Wow.
FM's also involved.
Cart now fighting with MVP now for second place up front. MVP drives it into the corner deep, but now Cart with a crossover off of 4. Cart's probably gonna hold this position on the inside. it's going to be a matter to see what Cart is going to be able to do now.
Sparkle
Cart,
gets really
now
loose.
he drives us in deep. Off-road getting into the picture between these three cars. This is not for the lead. This is for second place. MVP still holding strong on the outside.
Oh,
Hawk
right
is liking this since he's the leader.
Again. Almost takes it the leader.
He's able to avoid everyone. Wow, MVP Cart really going at it side by side for second. Off-road, he kind of backs off just a little bit, but he's still directly behind these guys. Cart, loose! Spinner, turn 2.
No contact with the wall. He'll keep it off the wall, but he will lose a lot of time.
He lost a lot of time there. He was really going at it side by side, duking it out with MVP.
Yeah, and now the racing is sort of not fully subsided, but subsided a bit. Oh, Hawk gets held up by a lap car. Loses a little bit of time. MVP. Not a lot, but just a little bit, and that's what matters. Is it could come down to that big of a gap that Hawk could lose by, but right now, in the lead.
Another car into the wall.
He collects another car.
Was it? That was off. Oh, 3-car pile up. Off-road, Edwards and Dawson. 3 cars involved.
Cars having to check up. Cars having to check up. Cart will get a position for it, as I think we have another lag out and or park. Yes, we do. CLR.
CLR.
The night.
CLR and FM. FM.
That might have been a lag out.
That might have been that, yeah.
Not very often you see 2 people leave at the same time, but it is often that you see 2
we had
people
2
lag
people out
at the same time.
Yeah, because the first car that was out of this race was Sleepy, and there's now 2 DNF in front of Sleepy, that being CLR and FM. Now it started with 22 cars after lagouts, after a race reset, some black flags handed out this race. We're down to 13 drivers. After starting with a record, even before the race, we started with a record 27 drivers trying to make it in to make the cutoff for the first 22 drivers to make it in. So, has trickled all the way down to now 13.
Yeah, and this race, like we've said, has had about everything it could happen in this race. Penalties, big ones, black flags, close racing, racing for the lead, racing for the pack. It's had just about anything and everything you could want in it.
And now, this scenario, we were just talking about this not too long ago. Hawk in the lead, MVP in second. Remember, that 5-point points gap between first and second place. After this race, Hawk would be the leader by 2 points.
Yeah, these two have been...
Hawk would be the leader by 2 points, and actually, their playoff points, as I try to get their playoff points pulled up here, there's only a 2-point gap between their playoff points. So MVP, he would go up to 10 as they run. He would go up to 10 playoff points. Hawk would go up to 9. So Hawk would have the points lead, but MVP would have just 1 playoff point over Hawk.
And that's what those wins can do. Like we said, MVP had a pretty bad Daytona showing, thanks, unfortunately, to a 2 or 3 lap early pit strategy. But because he got those 2 wins back to back, which obviously last week he won and got that second win in a row, so he's now looking for 3 in a row this week. But because of those wins, he got such a huge point and playoff point advantage over everyone else. As Hawk comes into pits, now MVP will take the lead.
With the pit strategy here.
I believe
For the laps that we have left remaining, we're getting to where you're not within money stop territory, I believe.
No.
But you are within 2-stop territory now.
Yeah, so Hawk has to pit once more, and then that pit is his money pit. So whether he comes to do it and try and do a short pit, so pit this time and then top up when he needs to make it all the way, it'll just depend on how close he wants to cut that. Whether he wants to try and make it 1 lap exact, 3, 4, 5 lap exact, is anyone's guess. And that's when we'll see strategies differ.
Rocket in the chat. As now MVP makes his way to pit road now. New leader, Oracle. Oracle actually has not been in the lead, I don't believe, this entire race.
I don't think he has been yet, but obviously a lot of lead changes, a lot of different leaders tonight as well. I think this might be the most we've had in a race, but obviously it's also the longest race that we'll race this season.
It is also the longest race, yes, and sidetracking here, going back to what Rocket said at the track, he's trying to do his best Larry McReynolds impression here. He says, well, fan, I've looked at the last 5 Miami races I've seen, and they're all been decided by a pass within the last 2 to 5 laps.
You want to know what?
I don't know if that's a true statistic or not. I don't know if that's a true statistic, if I can speak, or not. But that actually does sound kind of accurate. To where here at the end at Miami, you either are winning with dominance, and like we had Jenkin in the Miami Rain race last season. He won that race in dominance, but someone like trying to battle side by side, Smokey, just the championship race, the last Homestead race that we raced in, Smokey, he won that race, but he won it on the last laps because the 2 leaders took themselves out.
Oh, car spun on the back stretch. Didn't quite catch who it was. I think it might have been off-road. And it was off-road with major damage.
Off-road.
He was running really well at the restart. Yet again, another driver that looks to be having a spell of bad luck in this race.
Caution.
50 to go.
Actually, do we have a yellow? Yes,
we do.
We do.
Like they say, it's not over till it's over. 50 laps to go.
Yep, we're within that 50-lap mark. We're within that 50-lap mark, and now with Oracle in the lead, we're going to see whether if he decides to go in or not. We're in that odd position. We're not within 60 to go. If we were within 60 to go, it's a clear answer, pit. But we're within 50 to go. So, yes, it's a matter of you need to race, or you need to pit, but because the pit window is roughly 31 to 34 laps. That's the window that you're in. That's the window that you're pushing for. And so with 60 to go, you try to make the split like 32-32, let's say, if there were 64 laps to go. So you try to make that split to where, yes, you know that then you can then make it to the end safely, no matter what happens. Here, you're within that weird gray area to where if you pit now, you're going to have to pit at an off time. You're going to have to pit at a not during a scheduled stop.
And that's when we'll see these strategies and see if they've actually worked or not. Obviously, everyone's changed. I bet money that everyone's changed their strategies at least once during this race. If they came in with a strategy, it was changed at least once during this race, if not twice.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll see.
And I'm going more with twice. Because not just we had the long 400-lap stint in the beginning, to where that was the planned distance. So you come into the race with a strategy, but that made it to where if the race was green all the way, let's say hypothetical here. Let's say hypothetical, no cautions were to occur in the 400 laps. I know it's a hypothetical. That would make it to where you would have need to come down pit road 12 times. So obviously you're not looking to pit that many times with no other reason to go down pit road. And so even with you adding in caution, some people can cut it down to a 10-stop race. And now, with the race resetting, that then changes your strategy again, because now we don't have lap 401 being the final mark, we have lap 201 being the final mark. So for sure, probably guaranteed once, but I'm going more likely, could be a guaranteed twice strategies have changed this race.
Yeah, and I mean, with that reset, obviously everyone was back up to 100% fuel, 100% tires. So whatever you were on, let's say at 36%, you need to come in the next couple of laps. Well, now you're back up to 100%. So now your entire strategy has been shifted a couple laps, which is a huge amount. Everyone always shifts their strategy a couple laps, maybe 5 to 10 laps because of yellow flags, because of cautions, right? Because of damage. But usually you sort of
and that's during a regular race.
Yeah, and usually you sort of stick to that, like every this amount of laps I need to come in. Well, now everything is off because you've just been given a free 100% fuel.
With the race completely resetting, obviously, yes, that definitely changes where we're at. Hawk not able to get the best starts that time. A Cart, we know. Cart, he has for sure, he's for sure taken the best advantage of those restarts.
Yeah, and I think he's gained the most from those restarts, right? He was at one point 2 laps down, or almost 2 laps down, pardon, and he's been lapped down probably 3 or 4 times. And he's just been getting lucky with when these cautions come out, is that he gets that lap back relatively soon, so he doesn't lose many spots.
And now, unless something big and a momentum shift happens towards the end of this race, a driver who was, of course, very fast, their slim hopes are now fading away quickly. That being Jankum all the way back in 11th place as he runs right now, but I believe he's not on the lead lap. Yes, he is a lap down.
Oh, there's some contact in front of him. Yet again, this is what we've seen. Wrong place, wrong time for Jakeem. And it looks, for the time being, he gets stopped free, but he needs to run a perfect race and have a caution come out for him to come back into this race, I feel.
Yep, as of where they run right now, not the greatest of where he could be. He's not necessarily contact, but this could just be a spectator thing. Because oftentimes you see smoke coming from the tires. You won't see that during the race if you're actually in the driver's view, but for some reason spectator cam will have some drivers smoking their tires right as they enter the turn. And I'm seeing that coming out of Midnight's car, to where smoke is coming out of the tires when he enters in. I'm thinking that's more of a spectator glitch rather than him actually smoking the tires.
Yeah, I mean, no game's perfect, but some flaws are more obvious than others, for sure. But
yeah,
I mean, we're starting to see it. Hawk is.
Oh! Off-road got loose on the bottom. Yep. He's able to save it.
Yeah, Hawk and Cart are just really running away right now with it. Cart appears to gain a little bit, but then Hawk gains a little bit. So there's sort of a stalemate right now between these two. It seems that Cart is better in 1 and 2, but Hawk is better in 3 and 4. So no real ground.
Well, that's the way that they run right now. But Cart, we know he can do a very good job keeping in control. But he hasn't really been running alongside with Hawk this race. The one driver that he for sure knows how to stop, prevent, and try to prevent him from getting around is Jacob, because he was running first and second with Jacob for the longest time. Now here, Hawk, he very much has a better entry in 1 and 2, but the gap kind of remains the same off of 2. And now we'll see 3 and 4 here, whether if Cart gains or loses. Right now, it's looking like he's roughly at the same, if not he's lost just a tad bit. But it doesn't look like we're in territory of Cart pulling away safely or Hawk closing in rapidly.
Yeah, I mean, these two are probably both equally fast. I definitely agree with that. Obviously, like what you said, you can see where one's faster, but then one's slower, right? Hawk does appear to be gaining just ever so slightly, though, through 3 and 4. even with Hart being slightly better between 1 and 2. So I mean, I feel like this race, like Rocket said, may come down to these last couple of laps between these two.
May come down to it, you never know, but as of right now, that's the only battle that we should be focusing on, because right now, yes, 3rd and 4th is Oracle and MVP, but now MVP is starting to pull away from Oracle. Oracle not able to hold his ground. 5th and 6th are also close to each other, that being Panda and Girl Next Door, and D-Dog fighting alongside with him. And actually, whoa, right as we got in there, Panda got tagged by D-Dog. Culture spins as well off of turn 2. We're going to see what happens here.
3 cars involved.
Not within the interval, so we stay green and keep going. But now, as we went back to the leaders, look at that gap. It shrunk significantly.
1 and 2, taps the wall, doesn't save it. Just spin. Very light contact. I don't believe there'll be much damage, if any.
Both Cart and Hawk. That gap, it's getting smaller. Hawk is trying his best to get to Kart Racer. That gap is now half of what it was just 4 laps ago. Just 4 or 5 laps ago. Hawk, he's trying to run half a line lower entering, so then he can maybe try to pull a little bit more. He's trying to try and use Cart, and now as the caution actually comes out. Caution actually comes out, but what I was trying to get through there is that Hawk, he was running half a lane lower, is because, remember this concept called the bubble. We typically only talk about the bubble at Daytona. But on the straightaways here, the bubble can still come into play. And so what he's trying to do, he's trying to break the bubble entering the corner. And so he can pull and be more aggressive mid and exit of the turn. So he's trying to take the car a little bit more lightly. He's just changing his line a little bit. Entering. And so he's trying to gain more on the exit. But now here with the caution coming out, that gap was shortening. So this might be an advantage to Cart if he goes in or not. He goes into pit road. So now Hawk actually stays out. MVP in line behind him, and then Dawson behind him.
Yeah.
So now that actually changes it up a lot.
Yeah.
Because if Cart would have stayed out, that would have made it to where Cart would have had... He has been doing the best on those restarts. He would have easily launched to probably 0.3 of a second lead by the time we get to turn 3.
Yeah, and I mean, this changes up a lot, because now we see the different strategies. This was a money stop for everyone who went in, because you now have you have a chance to make it as long as you're somewhat conservative and not 110% pushing all the time through these next couple of laps. But these guys who stayed out now have to come in at least once more at some point. They'll probably try and play it safe, but they need to come in fairly soon, or else they're just going to wait right to the end, and we've seen what happens there. Like I've said, this track costs you about 1.5 laps every time you pit.
So, right now, as they run, we're going to be in the 35 lap to go mark. And with 35 laps to go, that's going to make it to where you're within 1 stop at the end of the race within the next few laps here. And it's going to be interesting. Some guys might be going in early now. They know it's safe near lap 32, lap 30. 30 to go. They know the number is safe there. But some guys might be hoping for a caution to extend their fuel run.
Flag back out. Hopefully for the last time tonight. Oh, and it's a Kyle Busch move on the inside.
Kyle Busch restart off-road, able to get around 4 or 5 cars. Right away, he was able to get around that many cars because of the start that he had.
Yeah, he'll move up into 6th place.
2nd and 3rd very close right now. MVP Dawson.
Oh,
they're holding it for now. 4 wide.
very nice, very tight
It's
racing.
held for now. Very close racing for the top 3
Oh, one car
spots.
very used to the back, and he does mechanic, goes back up and runs into traffic.
Kart Racer trying his best to work his way around. He's at the tail end of this D-Dog. He slips up a little bit, able to keep it off the wall. Kart Racer side by side with Off-Road. MVP side by side with Dawson for 3rd. That was chaos.
Yeah,
but they did it right.
And this is what Hawk wants to see in his mirror. He wants to see these guys battling really hard, because that means they lose time. That means they're holding each other up. Oracle has just made away from that pack. So he's looking for them to redo what they've just done for the past couple of laps to try and get some more time, maybe try and challenge Hawk in the later half of here. But we still...
And I'm sure Hawk is preferring Oracle to be that second place car rather than MVP being that second place car. But now MVP gaining ground on Oracle as it's settled down from the 4 wide to now a lot of side-by-side battles. 2nd and 3rd fighting side-by-side right now, and then 6th and 7th is the next side-by-side battle.
Yeah, and like I said, this is what Hawk wants to see. Fighting equals
MVP loose off of 4!
Whoa.
MVP Oracle side-by-side. They were loose. Kart Racer able to take advantage. Rides it in the corner deep into turns 1 and 2. MVP slides up, 3 wide for 3rd. Dawson backs out of it. He couldn't hang on to it. Oracle having a huge slingshot off of 2. And now, they settle for now.
But here's the problem. Hawk has to come in at least once more. MVP, and I believe it was Oracle, all have to come in one more time for this race. If Hawk would have pitted that race, he might be out in front still and might be able to make it and might still have at least somewhat of a gap.
And now the big gap is forward now. Car spinning back straightaway off of turn 2. That looked like Girl Next Door.
Looks like maybe 3 cars involved, but only 2 really were spun.
Yes, it was Girl Next Door. Excuse me.
But remember, Kart is in 2nd, but Hawk still has to pit, and it's about a lap and a half every time you pit. So, Hawk may go down. His only chance really is a caution. He needs a caution to come out for him to stay in this race.
He needs a caution for that fuel load to actually even out to where... That's, of course, what I think Hawk was betting on. He was betting on a caution to happen, and he still has time. He really doesn't need to worry. He just needs to take it easy right now. Don't push his car to the limit. Hawk needs to start worrying at roughly 10 laps to go. 10, 15 laps to go. That's where Hawk needs to start to put the conservative button to a maximum. Oh, he's going to elect not to wait for a yellow. He's going in to be safe.
If he gets a yellow, he can get his lap back. For right now, Hawk is out of this race.
And there was a second driver who went to pit road with him. It looked like Midnight. Was that the other car that went in? Yes, it was. So Midnight also going in with Hawk. So now a big gap between 1st and 2nd, meaning Kart Racer and Oracle.
Yeah, I mean, Kart led probably the most laps of the night so far.
He by far has, yes.
So, I mean, for him to be probably the fastest driver so far and for him to be in the lead is not what these guys want to see. They want to see him in the pack.
Whoa. MVP got very loose on the bottom of the track. Now he needs to deal with Culture being behind him. And with that gap that Hawk had, Hawk did not go a lap down. He is actually ahead of Kart Racer on track.
Yeah, but he needs to keep that in hopes to get that caution like we've been talking about. If it does come out, yeah, he'll be in the back, but he's shown that he has speed and he's shown he can make it up through in Oracle.
Off-road!
The bumper of MVP gets contacted into the wall hard. That might be what Hawk was looking for. If it was in the if it was just outside the caution interval, it's exactly what Hawk is needing.
We will see. Let's go back to 1st place. Kart Racer. Let's see if he slows down after
yes,
the
he
yellow.
does. Caution is
He
out.
does. Caution.
Hawk's back in it. Don't count him out yet. He's got about 12 laps to do it.
This is now insane, what we have here. Because now we have two distinct strategies, side by side, when we knew we were going to have a change-up in strategies. I guess adapt and overcome, because now we're going to see what strategy is able to come up on top.
And if the 15-lap caution interval is still in play, that means that was the last caution.
Yep, if the 15-lap interval is in play, which I don't believe it is. I don't believe the 15-lap interval is, because it's felt like we've had cautions called that were not within that 15 laps. I'm assuming they might have changed, extended, or reduced the interval to a certain mark. So then, oh, Kart Racer stays out. And now, did Hawk stay out? He did.
He did.
He's going to be in third.
This is what Hawk needed.
Oh, wow. If Kart picks... No, he's not going to pick the inside. That's good. If Kart would have picked the inside line, Hawk would have been on his rear bumper.
Yeah, and I mean...
So Hawk goes from leading to last car to the lead lap, now to he's in third, after those scenarios took place. Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, this might have worked out in Hawk's favor a lot.
Okay, Rocket, I will point out, Midnight, the car who pitted with him, is now in fourth. But Midnight, he hasn't, no offense, Rocket, but Midnight, he hadn't been showing top 5 speed, so we're going to see if he's able to stay up here or not. But there's not that much time left in the race, so actually, Midnight might come out with a top 5 if he's able to get a good start.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we might see some surprise people up here, and I mean, Midnight would definitely classify as a surprise tonight. No offense to him.
He would, yes. Yes, that would definitely pop up as a surprise. We were not expecting as a car spins off of 4 by themselves. We were not expecting Midnight to be up here. I mean, we didn't talk about him in the pre-race show. We didn't talk about him at the top of the race, mainly because, well, he wasn't really up there too often. And now, Midnight is able, with strategy, Midnight is able to be up in 4th place. With what? We have 21 laps to go now? So it will be interesting to see if in this short amount of time we can see guys pull something out of nowhere, pull a string out of thin air, and to see what is going to unfold in this final sprint, really, of this race.
And I've just been informed by race control that the caution lap intervals have been reduced to 5 laps, so they're back to basically normal.
So 5 laps. Okay, normal is 4 laps, so just a tad bit longer than regulation. So now after this, when we get going, it will be what, lap 185, 186 when we can call a yellow?
Yep.
That's still, that then makes it to where after that, we will have a 10-lap window to when we can have cautions in general, because the caution cutoff still applies to the end of the race.
Yeah.
At lap, I believe, 197 is the caution cutoff.
Yep, so we'll have to see. Green's out. Hart with a good start.
Yep, he's always been able to have that start, but now all cars behind him contesting for positions.
And here's what they need to do is D-Dog and Hawk need to start picking up a little bit and helping each other out to catch Hart and make sure he can't get that ginormous lead. They can't be side by side like this. They need to be working with each other, at least for the time being, just to catch up with the car and make sure he can't.
Panda tagged a little bit by Culture. Panda able to hang on to it, but another car not able to. Girl Next Door, I believe, is the car that spun. It was the pink car. Yeah. And that was fortunate for him.
Yeah,
and now Midnight trying to contest with Oracle.
Very close options number 1 and 2 for them.
And you see there, D-Dog and Hawk, they're not battling. They are just single file right now. That is something that Cart did not want to see. He wanted them to see them battling.
Yeah, he wants.
But I'm sure D-Dog, Hawk, those are very experienced drivers in 2nd and 3rd, and so they know their best shot in this short amount of time is not to battle each other. Just go for Cart.
Yeah, and that's what they need to do. The longer they're side by side, the bigger the gap gets between them and Cart. And we see the gap hasn't really moved much between D-Dog and Cart. If Hawk can get up there and sort of give D-Dog a helping hand on these straights with a little bit of draft that they can get, then they'll catch up to Cart just simply because they are drafted. All three of these cars are about equally fast by the looks of it right now.
By the looks of it right now, we've only seen... They're able to get to the apron, and now they recover back on the track. Able to get by clean. But now, D-Dog, we've only seen him for around only one time and one point in this race to where he was in the front pack, to where he was within that front row, that clean air pack. So, but we haven't seen him when he was actually up here with Cart. And so, since these guys, they haven't been battling each other so often... It's going to be a matter of time before D-Dog, he's kind of like an analyst for a driver. He is someone that he will read you if he's working to know that all he needs to do is pass you.
Wreck in the back.
And right.
Straight away. One with two cars involved, I believe.
That's Culture. Another driver, Jankum. That's the other driver, Culture and Jankum. So Jankum's hopes of for sure finishing well this race have pretty much been all but gone now. That's for sure sealed the deal.
Yeah, Jankum just was in the wrong place, wrong time a lot of times. Bad luck. Caution is out though, so this gives...
Caution is out! That, because we're at the interval. That happened on 186.
Yep, and that will definitely shake some things up. That means we get one more caution before the end of this race. If it does happen, of course.
Yeah, if it does happen, so we're going to see, and hopefully you will all be there for joining us. We've consistently had a good amount of viewers this race. I see right now we currently have 8 viewers on stream, just based off of my analytics. So, thank you to everyone viewing this race. Well, now we have 7. Thank you to everyone viewing this race, and thank you to everybody who has watched this stream. Huge shout out, of course, not just to AK for joining me here in the booth, but also to today's race sponsor, Strange Engineering. A lot of work has been done to go into this race in order to make this happen. Strange, as I said at the top of the hour, they have been for probably over 60 years now. They have been providing the best machined, made-in-America manufacturing for Top Fuel dragsters, NASCAR, and street performance. Just Strange, a few years ago, they won a performance award. This year, they're going to have a good show out, hopefully, at PRI. Which, for those of you who don't know what PRI is, that is a show, pretty much. It's not quite a car show, but it's for sure a manufacturer's show. And Strange, they always have a good showing every year. So, please go check them out. They're tagged in our Instagram under a post. Make sure. Go check them out. If you're into cars, you're into tuning, you might need parts, need rear ends, need a brake kit, go check them out. Seriously, go check them out. That's strangeengineering.net. So then you don't just race, you race strange.
And now with this caution comes the lineup 13. It's going to be, an 11-lap shootout, almost a 10-lap shootout. Hawk is in position, as well as MVP and D-Dog to take this from Cart. Obviously, Cart's led the most laps tonight as we come off turns 3 and 4.
Here we're going to ride alongside Oracle, who's all the way back in 6th. Even 6th now, and we're going to see D-Dog actually got a good start that time, but he's not able to hold it. He gets loose on the inside. MVP taking advantage. He takes second place away. Hawk now dealing with trouble back at 5th.
Yeah, Hawk did not get that restart he wanted. MVP very late.
MVP tried to dive it in.
Hawk did not
He tried to dive it in. He's not able to hold it.
Hawk didn't get the restart he wanted. Now falls back to 5th. D-Dog with a great move on the outside of Oracle, and MVP takes 2 spots in one straight.
Oh, contact made. MVP and Oracle. Hawk able to take charge now. Hawk up to 3rd place. Oracle trying to fight for 4th around MVP. It's a cluster of cars from 4th on back. Oracle able to take charge because MVP stuck on the outside lane. Now let's move up a little bit to Hawk in third place, viewing the top three. The top three are the same as they were before the caution. Cart, D-Dog, Hawk, all trying to fight for a win. None of these guys have won this season. Cart, he was oh so close to winning the very first race of the season, but Reno was able to take that away from him. D-Dog, he had a very unsuccessful campaign for trying to win the championship last season with highs and lows. And Hawk, the two-time champion who won last season, trying to gain more momentum and also trying to deal with the points lead. But now where he runs, he has a healthy lead over MVP.
Yeah, and I mean, this is going to be a very close. This is going to come down to the last couple of laps. Because Hawk, if Hawk can get with D-Dog, D-Dog is really one car length off of Cart, so that little bit of extra boost will give him all he needs to pass Cart. So if Hawk can just get slightly up there, just get a little bit in D-Dog's draft, I think Cart might be in some big trouble here.
And noticing the trend from what we just saw last season, if D-Dog is able to get to Cart and battle rough with him, Hawk is currently in Smokey's position that Smokey was in last race, and he ended up winning the race because the top two took each other out. Hawk, yes, he's been consistent. He's only finished third and second this season. But can that make it? Does he think D-Dog has enough for Cart to actually get up to him so then they can duke it out and Hawk can try to slip one away?
Well, yet again, in one more lap, caution intervals are off, and we can have one or two laps. We can have a caution, and that will be it. I don't believe that will happen though, because it seems everyone's sort of settled down. But it is 5 to go, so everyone's going to be.
It is 5 to go. It's elbows out. This is the window of opportunity that you have. Hawk is actually closing in on D-Dog faster than D-Dog was closing in on Cart. I wonder if D-Dog thinks that's actually hurting him. D-Dog thinks that's actually hurting him. Because that did happen last season at one of the Homestead races. I'm not sure if it was the championship race or if it was the 825 package that we ran. But it happened to where if you were just in the draft, you were overall slower.
Yeah.
But now D-Dog, he's able to make ground now. It doesn't look like anyone's going to get near each other and wreck. The only side-by-side, I mean, I see all the way back. I believe that is Oracle and another driver. I can't tell who it is.
It does appear that D-Dog is just ever so slightly gaining on him, but he needs to gain on Cart. But he needs to gain a lot more than he is right now, which means he needs to start bump drafting with Hawk here to gain a lot more ground. But at the same time,
I don't think that's the way to go. Because bump drafting, when you bump draft, especially at a track not named Daytona, that lead car is purposely taking away their momentum, so then the rear car can give their momentum to him. So while that sounds like, yes, the car is, that tandeming is going to make it work, this is a track you're not flat out the entire way around. You're not flat out the entire way around, and I don't think that's going to be the direction to go in if D-Dog wants a chance to win this race. I think D-Dog needs to push 100%, 110% right now here towards the end to give Cart everything that he has for his money.
Halter lags out with 3 to go.
Oh. Culture lags. I have dealt with that in the past. I know how he feels. I know exactly how he feels. That really sucks.
And with 2 to go, and D-Dog really cut the gap down a little bit. You'll need to have a couple perfect laps and for Cart to mess up a little bit, be able to catch him.
Right now, D-Dog's in a position to where he needs qualifying laps. He doesn't need race pace laps. He needs qualifying laps right now. He needs to run the cleanest laps that he can possibly run, as now we are at 2 laps to go, as you've stated. Cart, been the most dominant car of the night. D-Dog trying to earn a little bit of redemption from the last time we were here at Homestead. And Hawk just waiting in line if anything happens between the front two. Or just trying to get third. That's it. Nope. don't believe. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go in the Strain 600 presented by XRS. With that move right there, D-Dog losing momentum in the outside wall. Will he be able to get to kart?
Well, we need to make a giant mistake in 3 and 4 for D-Dog to catch him.
Through 3 and 4. Through the Strain 600. Nothing to be made there. Career win, number 8. Kart Racer able to win here at Homestead.
Hawk will continue his top 3 streak, and D-Dog will take the 2nd place.
The grid order has been changed on Forza, but we have the finishing order right here. Kart Racer in first, D-Dog in second, and Hawk in third. And now, since the finishing order got messed up on my end, I don't know if it's messed up on your end, AK. I can't quite tell who the top 5 will be.
Well, I can tell you first place is an off-road, so...
Yeah, so it did glitch on your end as well. It did glitch on your end as well. But, wow. So, Kart Racer, we knew he was the most dominant car of the day, and he's able to come out on top. So let's back out here. We will try to get the drivers in for interviews. And we will let you know if any driver, of course, declines their interview. So obviously, Hawk trying to get to D-Dog. And Kart Racer. Please, of course, when everybody joins in one at a time here, make sure your audio is connected to the stream. There is Hawk, and now we're trying to get D-Dog in. Might take a second for D-Dog to get in. We know he's on PC, he's not on console, so of course we'll take him some time. There is D-Dog trying to get in. Let's do a mic check on the 3 drivers real quick.
You got me?
Good. Yep, believe I heard all 3 of you there. You guys all set?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So now let's move on to post-race interviews here. We will start our way with third, make our way to second, and then AK will then interview the leader. So, third place. Kind of consistent here. Hawk, you have only finished in third or second this season. While that is good for you in consistency, wouldn't you have just loved if you would have gotten this one with a win? Describe how this race went. It was a long, long night, but still, the distance didn't matter. You're still able to finish top 3. Describe your race.
Oh, it was terrible. Bad luck. I don't know, it just pissed me off a lot. But then I'm like, you know what? It's gonna get better at the end. And then, yeah. And then for some reason, I started getting consistent. I was catching kart if that caution didn't come out. But Yeah.
Oh, we saw. Yes. We saw many times there on stream to where you were able to, all of a sudden you had a spark there on that final, I believe, 60 lap stint even. You had a real good spark. You were able to get up to top 3, consistently battling in that top 3. And now, of course, that will give you the points lead over MVP, with now MVP who was able to overtake you last week, or 2 weeks ago, sorry, last race. But only a 3-point gap that he had. You were able to obviously make that up and then some. And I believe now with this, you should surpass him. No, he'll actually have one more playoff point than you. So playoff points even closer than the actual regular season standings. And I'm sure those are the points that you're looking at a little bit more than the regular season standings.
Yeah.
But still, good on you. You've been super consistent. Me and AK were talking about it during the broadcast that we see the trade there. We see that while MVP, he's no longer going to have the points lead, he's going to still have a playoff point advantage over you. Not by much, but he still will have it. And so we're seeing the trade-off there versus consistency and winning. But still, you've been consistent enough. You're going to get a checkered flag, of course, eventually this season. So good luck on you for our next race.
Thank you.
Now, second place, D-Dog. Man, you were quiet for a lot of that race. Yeah, you were quiet until really after we had the whole lobby reset. We were able to see you shine there a little bit. You were able to put some good rep. I saw on as your secondary sponsor, Strange, also today's race sponsor. So, yeah, you just had a spark there at the end, and now you were giving him cart all you got. So, describe what you were trying to go through. Did you think you would have had a shot at Kart Racer if you didn't get into the wall a little bit there, I believe, at 2 laps to go?
Yeah, it was a very long, grueling race for sure. A lot of hecticness at the beginning. I knew I was fast. Even in practice, I was still, I'd say probably top 6, 7 at least. I knew some guys had not posted some of their times, but I think I started 5th, if I remember correctly, after qualifying. Wasn't even my best lap, really could have done a lot better there, but had the speed just early on, got into some unfortunate events, and with some newer drivers that I don't think will be coming back, hopefully. Um, but glad to have Strange back on board. Again, this season here sponsoring the race and on the quarter panel. Definitely wanted to represent. I've really enjoy using their products, really good quality stuff. I've used this in real life at my own shop. So really glad to represent there, and really glad to see this event, the 600-mile event, here on Veterans Day, or Veterans Day weekend, I should say. So definitely wanted to represent everything involved there. But yeah, at the end there, I always tell people, like, I'm always like mediocre in practice during the week and mediocre during practice before the race. And it's normally sometime in the middle of the race, it's when it clicks for me. And I knew I was fast, and then right there towards the end, like y'all probably may not have even caught it, but there's 2 or 3 times where I was caught up in little events there at the end, or lost the car, and went from top 5 to back in the pack, and just had to fight my way back up through. Had some great battling all night with Panda, Off-Road, Oracle, all those guys, Hawk, and including Cart and Jakeem. Everyone, great racing, and then just at the end, maybe if I was going for every inch I could. If I could just maybe take that 1 inch back where I hit the wall, I probably would have given team owner Cart here a good shot. But not that Strange engineering into the top 2, and then got Shift Motorsports into 1 and 2. So definitely have to take that.
And definitely, we saw that you were, of course, able to have that spark, have good speed, and as you stated, just took a little bit past halfway for you to really be able to get into a rhythm. Good on you, finishing second. Thanks for the representation of Strange on board, and for the shout-out to them here tonight. So good luck on you to the next race and the rest of this season.
Thank you, sir.
Now, AK, take it away with Kart.
Yeah, Kurt, obviously the race winner tonight. First of all, congratulations on the win tonight. And first question off the bat is, how does it feel to win your first race this season and at the biggest race probably of the year?
I won't lie to you, I was not looking forward to this race at all. I knew it was going to be long, I knew I'd be competitive, but the way that these cars are, they're just way too aero dependent. If you have someone right behind you, it's so easy to get loose, and it's just, it felt like a nightmare, especially trying to, run the race and try to control all the stupid stuff that happens. It was definitely hard to fight through the pack, though. I will say that due to it being very aero dependent.
Obviously involved in a couple of wrecks during that middle portion of the race. How did you keep level head and rebound from that?
Honestly, I just kind of kept my head down, tried to be quiet, and just try to avoid all the nonsense. It was very hard getting into pit road, so I spun out a couple times trying to get into it. But, I mean, other than that, I kept my head down, kept digging. I knew I was fast. I just had to get around people and have the right track position.
A pretty dominating performance today. Obviously, you led majority of this race and a lot of the beginning of the part, and then obviously near the last 10 laps. But you did, like you said, you were through the pack, in the back of the pack multiple times. What was sort of the key to getting back through the pack and sort of maneuvering through the field?
I honestly, I'd have to say luck. There was more luck than actual, moves I had to make. I just got lucky that some people would just slide up out of the way, and, maybe some people wrecked during the caution intervals, which really helped me out because then I had clean air to go move up to the pack. But yeah, mostly luck.
Well, congratulations on your win tonight. That being probably the biggest race of the year. So I'm sure you'll be celebrating probably tomorrow because I know it's definitely late for everyone involved. But like I said, congratulations on the win. That's all from first place tonight, Kart Racer, getting his first win of the season.
And thank you to that, AK. Obviously, congrats to Kart Racer. Congrats to all the top three that was able to be able to come out on top tonight. The longest night that we've had, streamed runtime as we look at it right now, 3 hours, 54 minutes. The stream has been up. Obviously, I think the race was a little bit shorter actual runtime because of the delay, the lobby reset. Now the interviews, of course, extending a little bit past the race. So we'll call it a 3.5 hour race of racing time, but obviously it feels a little bit longer than that. Huge thanks, AK. Thank you for joining me once again up here in the booth. I'll be looking forward for you to join me next week. I believe we will be at Monza. We'll be at Monza short, so definitely a different take. We're going to see if there's similar racing to Brands Hatch, but thank you, AK, for once again joining me this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to come up here and help out with the broadcast and stream with you. It's always a delight to come through and watch these races and see how competitive everyone is in these races and how well balanced everyone is. So, I mean, it's my pleasure to come up in the booth every week.
Yep, and now we will move on from tonight. It was a race that we had a little bit of everything, all of the above. Ups and downs, quick battling, not so good battling. Cars spinning, cars being side by side. Really just an eventful race overall all night. Thank you to Strange Engineering once again for being the sponsor of tonight's race. And I will see you next week. Fan2403 signing off for tonight.